Well. It is Cowboys After Hours with Let's Talk Cowboys. And we got a couple of things to talk about tonight. Just came down late. And I think the Troy Aikman interview sounds boring on first listen, but when you analyze it, Troy Aikman said some pretty exciting things, so we're going to talk about that. But again, welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live, especially Cowboys After Hours. And if you haven't become a member yet, or if you haven't subscribed, please do. We have more things coming in the future. Now let's talk facts. Again, this is Cowboy After Hours. And we have three topics. I say three, we got two topics. And we'll see what comes up as we keep going. We're going to talk about the Aikman interview. Got to talk about it. I mean, he talked about some good stuff, I believe. And then we're going to talk about 105.3 The Fan today had a very interesting interview. Right after I posted my video on Damone Clark and how stacked the Dallas Cowboys linebacker room is, they have a discussion about the linebackers and is this the most improved part of the team? And I said this before. I said this after free agency. I think that the linebacking crew is the place we really improve the most. But again, two subjects tonight, but don't you worry. We got plenty to talk about. The Aikman interview, it's only 5 minutes, but we're going to really break it down and analyze it. Then 105.3 The Fan talks about the linebackers. We're going to break that down and analyze it too. I haven't listened to it all the way through, but there is some good stuff on that. But again, welcome to Cowboys After Hours. We're going to get a quick roll call in here. A quick roll call, and then we're going to get going. I know it's late night. Not everybody can stay up late as I do. But let's see who comes in. But we're going to be talking Cowboys tonight, whether it be 10 or 10,000. Let's go. See if we can get some roll call music, and then we're going to get to our first topic. All right, let's get it. All right. Appreciate y'all rocking with me late tonight. Man, it's midnight. It might be 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning with some of you are. Let's get it. Jared Thomas, yo. What up? Daniel M, appreciate you. The ghost of Mike McCarthy, get the coffee ready. Yes, sir. Let's go. Mose Logan, what up? Marcus Rowe in the crib. Marcus Rowe said, dang, it's slashed. Yes, let's go. Chris, a.k.a. Big C Gutierrez. What's going on with you? Jacob Jackson in the crib. What up? My brother, Roderick Woban, what up? What you doing up this late night, fam? Let's go. Oh, Marcus Rose said, dang, it's the last call late in here, G. Yes, sir, let's go. Let's do it. Oh, Cliff Rockefeller, I see you up in here, man. What's going on? I see you. William Gann Jr. in the crib, what up? William Vogelli, what up with you? Let's fire this up. Yes, sir. Mars Newton in the crib, what's going on? Let's do this. My man Johnny Blue, what's up, man? You up late tonight, I see you. My man Johnny Blue. Black man in the crib, what's going on? Big dog in the crib, what's going on? Chris Danzler, what up with you? Salute. Let's go. Rufus. The Texridian died. What's going on with you? Super 2 in the crib. He said, first stream on my laptop. What's good? Yes, sir. Let's go, Super 2. C-Base in the crib. What's going on with you? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, what up? What up, hey? What's going on with you? Riley, late night. What's up? What's going on, Riley? Good to see you in here. We're going to talk Cowboys tonight. All right? We'll greet everybody else as they come in. Let's get going. Yeah, this is a pretty good interview, I believe, with Troy Aikman. You might find it to be a little bit boring at first, but when you listen to it, oh no, Troy has got a very easygoing demeanor, at least off the field. On the field, he was a beast. But when you listen to some of the things that he says, oh, Troy Aikman is dropping some golden nuggets up in here. Okay, I see you, Johnny Blue. Johnny Blue said it's only 10 o'clock where he is. It's midnight here. Janie Scott, what's going on with you? Good to see you. William Ginn Jr., what's up? This is for all us night owls. Yeah, I had to do it. I have to do it late at night, man. Riley, let's do it. Let's talk. Hey, chilling. I'm here for another late one. Let's go. We finna check this thing out with Troy Aikman, man. It is very, very interesting. And again, it sounds different when you listen to it with me, because I'm telling you, if you listen to it at first, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, it's kind of boring. Nah, this dude dropped some nuggets in this thing, man. I'm going to be up all night doing videos on some of this material, so you're going to see some more in-depth talk on this in some of the videos I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to be dropping videos all day tomorrow. Plus, I'll be talking about OTAs. I think OTAs are supposed to come in, so we'll see what's up. Oh, Cliff Rockefeller in the crib. What's going on with you? Yep. Number 8, slinging that L. Hey, he talking, man. He talking in this video if people pay attention. We're going to see how many people be talking about this tomorrow. But let's get to this thing with Troy Aikman, man. This dude dropped some megaton bombs in the beginning of this thing. Y'all ready? Let's do this. Oh, my man C-Base, I appreciate you, man. He said, I appreciate the late nights, G. Hey, I appreciate y'all being on. Hey, let's do this. Y'all ready?
Yes! Here we go!
Let's roll with Troy Aikman to see what he's talking about. My man Richard Owens, I see you. What's up with you in the chat? Good to see you tonight.
Schottenheimer, and hasn't coached a game yet, I realize, but just kind of your early impressions from what you've heard of him so far.
Yeah, I've known Brian a long time. First interaction with him, I guess, was going back to when he was with the Chargers. Hudson Houck, the offensive line coach there at the time, had been with the Cowboys for a number of years, and Brian was reaching out about some things that we did back when I played and kind of talking to him some of the coaching points about it. But
Hold on. Don't y'all let this pass you by. Schottenheimer, while he was with the Chargers, at least I think that's what Troy's saying when he's with the Chargers, this man is reaching out to Troy Aikman then, way back then, asking him about the Cowboys. This man was reaching out way back then, asking him about stuff the Cowboys were doing. This is way back then. Let me tell you something. Teams don't have to look at Philadelphia for the blueprint. Go back and look at the 90s Cowboys. They are the originators of some of this stuff. Jerry was the originator, him and Jimmy, with some of this stuff. And what we're watching the Cowboys. And again, I will say this about Brian Schottenheimer and Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett was a part of the later regime of the Cowboys. He didn't get to enjoy the 92-93 Cowboys, but he came on the team, and if I'm not mistaken, he was with the 95-96 Cowboys. Jason got a taste of what the Cowboys kind of were, but he understood how they were winning. And one of the things that I give Jason Garrett credit for is Jason Garrett was trying to get the offense back to what the Dallas Cowboys used to be. But where I think Jason Garrett failed is that he didn't have the mindset or the wide-reaching mindset of Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer is not just concerned about the Cowboys' offense. Brian Schottenheimer has actually done his homework even better on the Cowboys. Because if anybody really did their homework on the Cowboys, they would realize something. It wasn't just the offense. It was the defense. When you have the number one defense, let me tell you something. You change teams' minds about how they look at you. And I'm talking offensively and defensively. You change teams' mind about you. The Dallas Cowboys, people do not understand something. I want you to put this in your mind when you're thinking about the 90s Cowboys. It wasn't just the fact that they could run the ball. It wasn't just the fact of their offensive line. It wasn't just the fact of Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, Troy Aikman. It wasn't just their offensive attack. No. Their defense. Their defense was so nasty. You basically realize something. That if we don't put no points on the board, their offense is going to score more than likely. And if we don't put points on the board, and our defense can't stop their offense, this game will get out of hand way faster than we want it to. The defense for the Dallas Cowboys in 92-93. People do not understand what I'm saying. The defense was insane. This is why I'm telling us as Cowboy fans, man, I am so ready for this season. The Cowboys are going to look great. I think the offense is going to look so good. But do you know what makes your offense look even better? A great defense. A great defense makes your offense look so good. You want to know why? Your defense will get you short fields. Your defense will get you short fields. If they get the kickoff and they get to the 20, maybe the 25, your defense so devastating, you're probably going to get a couple of, you're probably going to get a sack for a loss or a tackle for a loss. You're going to get them in 3rd and long. They're going to kick the ball. They're going to wind up kicking the ball to you. You're going to probably get the ball somewhere around the 40-yard line. You're playing short field all day long. You don't have to worry about a team driving to their 45 and punting you down inside your 10. Oh, that's rarely happening when you got a great defense. They're barely going to be driving the ball. You put so much pressure on teams when you have a great defense. And that's the part that gets lost about the 90s Cowboys. They had great defenses. I didn't even realize what I was looking at back then. I mean, I knew the team was good, but I didn't know what I was looking at. It's like hindsight is 20/20. Man, you go back and you look at those 90s Cowboys. The defense. The defense was absolutely nasty. Now, I want you to think about this part. And this is why I say I give Brian Schottenheimer credit. See, a lot of people don't realize this Brian Schottenheimer talk. People, it's like some people aren't just, I think some people who talk about the Cowboys, they're not old enough to remember the Cowboys vividly like those of us who are old enough to remember them. All this defense and trenches talk, okay, that talk right there, okay, that's cool. But the Cowboys been doing that back. That's what they did back in the day. That's what they did. And the Brian Schottenheimer talking about, outside in and cornerbacks and defensive ends and blah, 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 blah. He started breaking that down. Okay, that all sounds good. But the Cowboys had already been there and done that. Cowboys had already been there and done that, man. That's what Jimmy did. People don't give Jimmy credit. They give Jimmy credit for the Super Bowls. They give Jimmy credit for the triplets in a sense and his culture. I don't think people really understand how genius Jimmy was back in the day. Jimmy wanted a devastating defense. He wanted it because you can't win championships, and you can't win championships comfortably unless you got a number one defense. So that thing better be top 3 and number 1 in some things. When you have the defense that the Cowboys had, you win comfortably. You don't get in shootouts. The Philadelphia Eagles, you know who blueprint they're using? They're using the Dallas Cowboys blueprint. They hadn't been to a Super Bowl in the 90s or before that. That blueprint, a lot of people don't realize. Some of these people you see in the NFL, general managers, coaches, players, these people grew up watching the Dallas Cowboys. And if they're too young, they might not have grew up watching the Cowboys per se, but they grew up around somebody, a family member who knew about the Cowboys. I'm telling you, people don't give Jimmy credit. And the reason why I'm saying this is that Brian Schottenheimer is doing something that Jason Garrett didn't do. Jason Garrett was working hard on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, Jason Garrett, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith. I still don't think he filled it in all the way. I think he was trying to, but he didn't get a chance to fill it all the way in. They got Dez Bryant as the 88. They got DeMarco Murray. They came back around again, and they got Ezekiel Elliott. And I still don't think they succeeded really with Dez Bryant, because I don't really think Dez Bryant ever had the true complementary receiver. I don't think Terrence Williams was I don't think he was the true complementary receiver. But Jason didn't do anything with the defense. And so what happened to Jason over and over and over, if you think about it, Jason had some really good years. People do not understand. Man, Jason Garrett actually did win some games and had some he had some very good seasons. If you go back and look at his record compared to Mike McCarthy's record in the first 5 seasons, you might be a little bit surprised. Jason Garrett had this team on the right road offensively. Jason couldn't get it on the right road defensively. Offensively, yes, but defensively he couldn't get it on the right track. And so what Brian Schottenheimer is doing, and this is why I think this is so unique what Troy is saying, that he reached out to him long ago, asking him some things about the Cowboys, coaching points. He said it, coaching things, coaching points. Have you noticed what Brian did? Brian Schottenheimer is an offensive coordinator. But Brian Schottenheimer said at the coaches' meetings, I think it was, Brian Schottenheimer said you wouldn't know. Some people might question whether I'm an offensive coordinator. Why would they question that, Brian? Because Brian understood something. If we truly want to win, we need some great cornerbacks. Do you know who had some great cornerbacks in the 90s? We need some great defensive ends. We need some great defensive tackles. Yeah, we need to build the defensive line. Do you know who had an outstanding defensive line in the 90s? A lot of people don't realize how many of these GMs and coaches and things, they grew up watching the Cowboys and what they did. And I think you're seeing some of this being replayed now as teams are starting to figure out. And I think Howie Roseman is the one who figured this out first. Howie Roseman is the one who I think now should get the credit for figuring out how to work the modern day salary cap. Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman figured out how to do it. Jerry even said in an interview, he people were asking him, how to do this and how to do that. Yeah, you're talking about back in the 90s. I mean, when you could wheel and deal. But now Jerry is just now turning back into the wheeler and the dealer towards the end of what I call his tenure. Yeah, George Pickens, I don't care what anyone says. That was Jerry Jones. That's old school Jerry Jones. That's the kind of stuff that Jerry and Jimmy would have did. Jerry and Jimmy would have jumped at the opportunity to get George Pickens back in the day. That's an old school Jerry move. And so I find it to be very significant that Troy is saying, before this man even became the coach of the Cowboys, he reached out to him about some coaching points in those things. Now, if you think about if you listen to Brian Schottenheimer, think about the stuff he's been saying. He's been planning this. He's been preparing for this. He's been taking notes and all these different things. I mean, so that when he became a head coach, so many things would be in place. See, what makes Brian Schottenheimer so unique, and we got to see it on the field and see if it comes to full fruition. And again, this is why, as much as I think this team is going to be successful, I also think it might have a few growing pains. All the culture talk is great until you find yourself in a crucial moment. And that's when this culture is truly going to be tested. When we win, everybody's going to be bloom, boom, bloom. The question is, but when we lose? And what if we have a stint and we lose 2 or 3 in a row? Is the culture strong enough to withstand those type of things? Because I can tell that Brian Schottenheimer being on this team last year and in 2023, I think Brian Schottenheimer understands how the 2023 playoff loss broke this Cowboy team. A lot of people don't realize it. I said it last year when I first started this channel. Man, that Green Bay game broke this team. It broke them. That Green Bay game broke this team. It broke them mentally. It did. It broke them mentally. Because the Cowboys thought they were better than the Green Bay Packers, and they were not big. They were not better. Jerry left that team with deficiencies. And as much as Jerry was mad at Mike McCarthy, Jerry should have been mad at himself too. That Green Bay Packer game broke this team. And so a lot of the stuff that you hear from Brian Schottenheimer, it's a result of him taking notes and realizing how that Green Bay game broke this team. It broke it. And I'm telling you, I keep saying this. I don't care what anyone says. Mike McCarthy was not getting hired again by the Cowboys. All that sit-down talk at the end of the season was just a dog and pony show. They were done with Mike McCarthy. And if you don't believe they were done, well, why didn't they do for Mike McCarthy what the heck they're doing for Brian Schottenheimer right now? They were done with that man. They left. It was the lamest of lame duck. It was the lamest of lame duck coach contracts. Last year, bro, we're not doing nothing for you. Nothing. You want Aaron Jones? We're going to bring in Zeke. What else you want? Be careful what you ask for. You ask for anything, we're going to give you everything you don't want. Oh, you need another running back? We're going to give you washed up Cooks. I'm telling you, they were done with this man. They were done with this man. And so Brian Schottenheimer, everything you're watching, it's a result of what this man observed. The culture. And I heard Brian saying it the other day. And I did a double take when he said it. But I understand what he's saying. I want you to think about the psychology game this man is playing. I want y'all to notice the things that he says. He says, well, the reason why we're building this culture and, the things that we're doing with the culture and the things that we're doing off the field and these relationships we're building off the field, so that when we get in these critical moments on the field, and there may be some kind of trial that the team fails, tribulation that the team fails, well, will the team be strong enough to have each other's back in those moments? Because I can tell you, under Mike McCarthy, these guys were pointing fingers. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was one of the biggest finger pointers. Micah Parsons pointing fingers. Everybody's pointing fingers because this, and I said it before, it never felt like a team to me. It never felt like a team. And that's what you're hearing with all this culture talk. This man is trying to fix this team so that it'll stop finger pointing, stop blaming Dak Prescott, stop blaming one player like we did in the Cincinnati Bengal game when the guy, I forgot the guy's name, he touched a punt. So we can stop blaming individual people and understand we live and die as a team. That's what your culture is for. People have to understand what the culture means. It's not just the way you act and live, but it's the way you act and live together. And that's why this man keeps talking culture, because the culture was broken. And that's why when I hear Troy Aikman say that this man reached out to me, this is what I appreciate about Brian Schottenheimer. This man is not stubborn like a lot of coaches are. And boy, let me tell you, Mike McCarthy was the most stubborn of stubborn. The man didn't believe in changing his style. He didn't believe in changing anything. And even when they convinced him to make a change in 2023, this man turned right back around. In 2024, on the lamest of lame duck contracts, this man reverted back to the most stalest West Coast offense you'll ever see in your life. Brian Schottenheimer, I give this man kudos. He does not mind asking people. He doesn't mind asking people who have done great things. He doesn't mind looking at what's successful and saying, we're going to do that too. We're going to add that into our repertoire. I'm telling you, this man is different. Now, the issue is we got to see what it looks like on the field. And this is why, as much as I think we're going to be successful this year, we're going to do some things way better than we did last year. I think we're going to look way better than we've looked in even if we don't win as many games, I think we'll look better than we did up under Mike McCarthy. And that's why I keep saying this year will give us some flashes. But if the Cowboys make a few more moves, it might be more than flashes. And I hope I'm wrong about this. But I believe next year is the Super Bowl year. I believe next year is the Super Bowl year. Could it be this year? Yeah, because I think Dak going to tear it up. I think Dak Prescott's going to tear the league up this year. These are the perfect games to me for Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott's going to tear this league up. You're going to hear Dak Prescott an MVP all season long. If Dak don't get the MVP, if Dak don't get comeback player of the year, I am not going to be surprised if Dak gets his second All-Pro this year. Dak going to tear this league up this year. But again, we already know what Dak is. Now we got to get the whole team. And that's what Brian's trying to change. We got to get the whole team to have each other's back so we don't have these mental collapses. Johnny Blue, appreciate that super chat. My man Johnny Blue, he said, I love the Dallas Cowboys, but I come here to hear you preach. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Johnny Blue. Let me get in these comments real quick, and then I'm going to get back into this thing with Troy Aikman. But I'm telling you, man, when I first heard, before this man even became a head coach, you reaching out to Troy Aikman? Shoot. Man, I can't give you nothing but kudos. Man, you reaching out to Troy Aikman, the man who quarterbacked for Jimmy Johnson. I love it. I love it. I wish Brian would have some of these guys at training camp. I really do. I wish he would have these guys around training camp. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, bring in Emmitt Smith, bring in Nate Newton, bring in any of these guys who are still around. Bring him into your training camp, man. Let him hang around these guys. And I'm talking about put them in shorts, Dallas Cowboys shirts, hats. Man, you have these guys out there. Let them do a little bit of talking too. Let these guys hang around some championship pedigree. Let them hang around and let Troy tell them the stories of, hey, man, this is how it felt when we got ready to make our breakthrough in 1991 and 92. This is how it felt. Man, they need some of these guys hanging around the building. They really do. Goes to Mike McCarthy. He said, still thinking about that 1 year Garrett had to deal with Rob Ryan as defensive coordinator. Yup, as defensive coordinator. Rob had all 11 on that D were out there playing to their weaknesses rather than their strengths on every play. Hey, goes to Mike McCarthy. Think about this. This has really been happening since Jason Garrett, hasn't it? I said this past season. It never felt like a team. Brian Schottenheimer is doing something the last two coaches didn't do. Jason Garrett, offensive mind. Jason Garrett ran the offense. And it was like when the Cowboys hired Rob Ryan, it was Rob Ryan's defense, Jason Garrett's offense. That's not the way to do a team. I'm telling y'all, I still love the way Jimmy did it. Jimmy coached the team. Jimmy wasn't the OC or the DC. Jimmy coached the team. Man, Jimmy coached the front office. Jimmy was a true general in every sense of the word. Jimmy was a general. Jimmy didn't have time to just work on the offense and time just to, no. Jimmy wanted to oversee the entire team, including the personnel. Jason Garrett. I don't know if he couldn't do it, but he didn't do it. And you could tell with the way it was with Rob Ryan. You think about Mike McCarthy. From the get-go, Mike McCarthy, it just seemed like from the get-go, after his own defensive coordinator got fired, it was from the get-go, the Joneses said, nope, you're the offense. And watch this. The Cowboys actually tried to let Mike McCarthy be the head coach. He didn't want to be the head coach. Jerry and Steven tried to let him be the head coach. He didn't want to be the head coach. He was too busy undermining Kellen Moore trying to get the playbook. He didn't want to coach the team per se. He wanted to coach the offense. He finally got it away from Kellen Moore, only to use some of Kellen Moore's concepts. We heard that Texas Coast talk. Use some of the things that Brian Schottenheimer implemented, some wrinkles he implemented, and then Dak and CD took off. And then he reverted back to 2024 to his own stuff, and it was as stale as Boy, it was as stale as wheat thins. Brian Schottenheimer, have you noticed what he's doing? He's doing things differently. He wants to coach the whole team. Notice what he's doing. Same thing Jimmy did. Coaching the front office. If y'all hadn't realized it, Brian Schottenheimer's not just coaching the team. This dude is coaching the front office. It's not only the players that keep saying Brian. Brian said, Jerry even talking about, yeah, Brian is pounding the table if I get out of line. He'll get in my, well, y'all know what he said. Brian's coaching the team. Everybody. Brian Schottenheimer's coaching everybody. Everybody keeps saying what Schotty said. That's why I appreciate Brian Schottenheimer. We just got to get it on the field. This dude isn't afraid to ask people what they're doing and what works. He's not afraid of it. I love it. This dude, I'm telling you, he's genius. My man, Skeptical Fan in the crib. What's going on, man? Yes, sir. He said, pair character stretching his arm forward, raising his thumb. Yes, sir. I'm telling you, man, pay attention to Brian Schottenheimer. He's not just coaching the team. This dude is coaching the front office, and we're seeing it. Now, we got to see what it looks like on the field. We're hearing all the energy, but we got to see what happens when they get them pads crack-a-lacking. See what happens when they start going up against opposing defenses in the preseason. We got to see what it looks like. And that's why I say I think we'll have some growing pains. But I don't know. I think we're going to be so fired up on the first game against the Eagles, boy. Woo. They might get a full dose of just pure adrenaline when it comes to the Cowboys. Rolando says, let's talk. What's up? Yes, sir. From South Texas, he says, cheers. If Dak can't win a Super Bowl, he will be Danny White and Tony Romo. Good, but can't win the big one. Go Cowboys. Yeah. But he's going to win one. I got a strange feeling Dak's going to win one. And I don't think it's going to be this year. I think they'll get closer this year. But boy, they will complete building this team next offseason. Rome wasn't built in a day. When you tell me you want to build the best roster in football and where we started from, man, you can't do that in a season. It don't mean you can't build a roster that's going to be absolutely competitive and be better than everyone thinks, and you're going to win more games than everyone thinks, and you're going to find yourself in the heat of the playoffs, and everybody's going to be holding their breath to especially the Dallas Cowboy haters and doubters. They're going to be holding their breath thinking, okay, when is this team going to lose? Yeah, I think they're going to be good enough to make people sweat. I really do. But next year, I think they're unstoppable. I think they're unstoppable next year. Marcus Rowe, Danny White played with trash defenses, had to do too much. Yeah. And if you go back and look at Danny White, man, Danny White, his defenses just couldn't make certain stops. I mean, Marcus Rowe, I'm telling you, man, I still remember that Dwight Clark catch. Boy. Whew. Boy, if they make a stop on that one. Man. But yeah, exactly. And Marcus Rowe, you think about this. This is why people don't understand, man. You got to appreciate what the Cowboys did in the 90s. The Cowboys didn't really have a lot of challenging playoff games. Them boys was good, man. Cowboys were good. It was when the Cowboys came up against the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, those are some of the tough games you remember. Maybe the Green Bay Packers every so often. But for the most part, the Cowboys were so doggone dominant. They had a great defense. Defense wins championships. Defensive lines and offensive lines, man, you can win championships comfortably. The Cowboys not only had a great offensive line, but people don't talk enough about their defensive line. Black man, 90s defense consists of Charles Haley, Leon Lett, Ken Norton, Deion Sanders, Darren Wilson, Tony Casillas, and Jim Jeffcoat. Boy, you just say all those names. Boy, the defenses were crazy, man. Crazy. C-Base, he said, I want to see guys in pads. That's what I just said. When they get them pads crack-a-lacking, man. I want to see them pads crack-a-lacking. C-Base says, I want to see guys in pads. Preseason, regular season, I got to see. Still don't even know how all this is going to mold. See, C-Base, that's the key. We got to get it on the field. Let them pads start crack-a-lacking. Then we're going to start figuring out who's who and what's what. Who I'm not worried about is Dak Prescott. Who I'm not worried about is CeeDee Lamb. Who I'm not worried about is, not as much worried about Micah Parsons. I need them to get this deal done with Micah Parsons. Also, Diggy Zua. There are certain guys on here I'm not worried about. The issue is, how does everything else meld together? Motivation Insights, he says, people don't realize that the Cowboys during the 90s era was much more than just Troy Aikman. Motivation, I say it all the time. He said, yes, Aikman deserves credit. Yes, but the truth be told, he didn't carry those 90 teams. I've already said it too. I keep saying it. He did not carry those teams. The 90s team, it was the defense that did it. A lot of people don't give Jimmy credit for that motivation. They do not give Jimmy enough credit for that. When Jimmy started building that team, the one thing Jimmy said was, and I'm building the defense too. Jimmy said, I'm building the defense too. And he built one. And that defense continued to get better and better and better. Kept adding pieces. Marcus Rowe, he says, appreciate that $10 super chat, Marcus Rowe. Yeah, coaches create culture. Yeah, Jimmy did that too. Yep, coaches create culture. He says, Shotty coaching everybody. Front office, staff, water. I left out the water boys and the traders. Water boys and traders, but good culture embraces the challenge and struggle. Shotty understands. Go Cowboys. Yes. Marcus Rowe. And that's what that's exactly what I'm explaining, because Shotty saw what was making them fall apart. And this dude is saying, and that's why when Clarence Hill asked him, like, what's wrong with the culture? Come on, Clarence Hill. Now, Clarence Hill ain't dumb. Clarence Hill, man, he's great at what he does. He'll ask those, man, he asks those push-the-button questions. Clarence tried to make you say it out loud. Come on, man, we all know. Man, this culture was terrible. Terrible, man. It was. And they fell apart whenever they lost. I mean, last year, I said this last year, people got mad about it. But when Michael Parsons walked off the field before the game was over, after the Cincinnati game, and people were talking about that's the kind of energy we need, you're entitled to your opinion. But I disagree. I totally disagree. I wish you would have walked off the field during 92, 93. Charles Haley on that team. Troy Aikman on that team. Michael Irvin on that team. Emmitt Smith on that team. Some of those defensive linemen on that team. I wish you would walk off that field before the game was over. I wish you would do it. I bet you it would have took security to hold those guys off of the player that did that. Nah, man, we don't do that kind of stuff here. Good cultures don't do that. If I'm the coach and you do that, me in the front office about to have a real problem. Because you're going to sit your butt down the next game. I don't have time for that stuff. I don't need, and I hate when people say passion. I don't want passion. I want channeled energy. I want maturity. I want focus. Passion get people killed. Passion gets people in trouble. Passion make people do dumb things. This is why I've never liked when people say the passion of the Christ. No, it wasn't the passion of the Christ. It was the focus of Christ. He had the direction. He knew what he was supposed to do, and he did it. That's what you do when you have a great culture, when you have a great understanding. And you understand sometimes there'll be some trials, there'll be some tribulations, but there are also going to be triumphs. If we can overcome the trials and the tribulations, then we're going to enjoy the triumphs. We're going to enjoy the victory. And you got to get your team in the mindset of, man, the season is not done on one game. Season isn't done on one game, man. You got to keep on going. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And when we get these crazy expectations, we got to ask ourselves sometimes as a player, is it about you or is it about the team? Because if it's about the team, then you stay your butt out here with the team. And you go and shake everybody's hand with the team. Because people out here fought hard. Just because somebody made a bad play. Well, maybe had I made a play earlier, maybe they wouldn't be making that bad play. Maybe the score wouldn't be what it was. When I'm pointing my finger at somebody, maybe if I would have made a play earlier, maybe the scoreboard wouldn't say what it says. This is why Brian is doing these things. You got to get people in a different mode of thinking. And one of the things about this doggone team that frustrates me sometimes, they also get brainwashed by the media. I mean, we saw Trey Diggs last year. I mean, right after a football game, goes to his locker, and rather than sitting his butt there after they done got their butt beat, rather than him sitting there and doing what he's supposed to do, getting undressed and, you know, whatever the case may be, he going on his doggone phone, reading Instagram, reading Twitter, and then comes out on one of the media guys. The game was barely over 4 or 5 minutes. Come on, man. We got to get that kind of culture out of here. Got to get that kind of culture out of here. Let me read a couple more, and then I'm going to scoot up where you guys are. I'm way behind. The ghost of Mike McCarthy said even worse about the Green Bay playoff loss the offseason after when Jerry and Steven did absolutely nothing. I said the same thing to address those weaknesses. They were done with that man. I don't care what anybody says, ghost of Mike McCarthy. They were done. They were done. Only thing they were going to do is let this joker fulfill that contract, because let me tell you about the Cowboys. They don't believe in paying people to sit at home as far as coaches go. They don't want to pay no coaches sitting at home. It's crazy that you'll sacrifice the team like that. But they basically told Mike McCarthy, bro, you playing with what you have. That's it. Morris Newton said, I think the only great coaches the Cowboys ever had were Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson, and they haven't had a decent coach since. Hopefully Schottenheimer will become the third. And Morris Newton, you know what? And I appreciate you saying that. Because even Bill Parcells wasn't the Super Bowl winning Bill Parcells. I don't think he was. Some people may say that he was. I don't think he was. Bill Parcells, to me, he always had a sense of arrogance about him. And I was like, I don't like that arrogance about him. He didn't really seem hungry with the Cowboys. Bill, to me, seemed like when he came here, I know how to do it. If you let me do it the way I want to do it, we'll win. If you don't let me do it the way I want to do it, then we won't win. I mean, to me, that was kind of his attitude. And I'm not saying that he didn't want to win, but he just had a different type of aura about himself. Like, he didn't have the chip on his shoulder of wanting to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. He had a chip on his shoulder of, I've already won a Super Bowl without the Cowboys. And that is not the right mentality for a coach wanting to win, at least to me. It's not the right mentality for a coach. And if you think about Jimmy, what made Jimmy so special here is that Jimmy came with the chip on his shoulder of, nah, man, I got to get me a Super Bowl. Jimmy came here saying, hey, man, I got to get me a Super Bowl. I'm one of the best college coaches to ever do it. I got to cement a legacy. I can't be one of the best college coaches to ever do it. I got to be one of the best coaches to ever do it. Jimmy won the Super Bowl bad. And then, of course, Tom Landry, Morris Newton. Tom Landry, man. I hate to say it. Not to disrespect any other coaches coming after him. I just don't think there'll ever be another Tom Landry. Tom Landry innovated the game. Offensively, defensively, created so many of these defensive formations that people run today, offensive formations that people run today. Tom Landry was an absolute innovator. He was also running the entire franchise. Tom Landry was coaching the entire franchise, boy. Whole franchise. He was coaching the whole franchise. Randy McIntyre, yeah, it was a wasted year on Mike McCarthy. It was. Black man, Ryan defense was soft, boy. You couldn't tell him that. Couldn't tell him that. Marcus Rowe, he said, that's a dang on shame about Mike McCarthy, too. He did some things right, but he didn't command any respect because the team never seemed ready to play against top teams. Boy, you just said a mouthful, Marcus Rowe. And Marcus Rowe, let me tell you something. As much as I didn't want him to be the coach here, let me tell you something. I'll never deny this man was smart. Mike McCarthy's smart, man. This dude know football. I'm never going to say he don't know football. Nah, he know football. Football operations, even some personnel stuff. I mean, Mike McCarthy knows how to do that stuff. His problem was he couldn't motivate. And he wasn't innovative. Very stubborn. His way or no way. Very stubborn. And those were the things that messed him up. They messed him up. And that's why right now, he's not going to, I don't think we'll see him coaching again. I don't. My sister Lisa Worley, what's going on? Yes, she said, just now catching up on here. Yeah. We're doing the Troy Aikman thing, but he said something that really got to me. And I'm going to let us hear the rest. It's only 4 minutes, but I'm going to turn it into 3 hours. I'm just telling us, that part he said about Brian Schottenheimer, don't let that pass you by. That man said something. This dude called him up before he was even the Cowboys coach. Yeah, this dude is telling you about this man's personality. He really is. The ghost of Mike McCarthy says it's not a question of soft, but rather Rob and Rex want to keep running, but they stubborn too. They're stubborn too, goes to Mike McCarthy. They want to keep running Buddy's 4-6 defense when in today's NFL, the quarterbacks and offenses can carve it up. You're exactly right. That 4-6 defense, if you don't get there, it's over. It's pretty much over. They're stubborn too. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Cowboys said thanks but no thanks to Rex Ryan. We ain't trying to go back in the past, man. That dude was way, way, way too far back there. He really was. Let's check out this next thing that he says about Brian Schottenheimer.
And then over the years recently, just with the broadcasting and him being the offensive coordinator in Seattle and getting to know him a little bit there, and then, of course, him coming to Dallas, I interact with him then a little bit more. But, yeah, I think he's a good football coach. You never know exactly what someone's going to be when they're a head coach. And, you know, we'll see how it works out. But I'm pulling for him. I think he's obviously high energy, very positive. Sounds like everyone in the building really was hoping that he would be named the head coach. And as I've said before, you know, there were a lot of people just kind of scratching their head a little bit when he got named as the head coach because of his age and the fact that he hadn't had an opportunity yet. But, you know, now it's he's going to be judged by the same things that everyone else is, whether he can win games or not. And sounds like right now, of course, there's 32 teams right now in the league that are really optimistic and feeling good about what they did this offseason and how OTAs are going. And, you know, I always kind of laugh a little bit when I read the articles of what's happening this time of year and how positive everybody is. And the reality of it is that there's going to be a lot of teams that aren't very good. And who those teams are going to be, we'll find out. But I'm pulling for him and hoping that he does well.
What do you think of the pick and Zach?
Let me capitalize on something my man Marcus Rose saying. G gives Jerry too much credit for signing the checks that Jimmy told him to sign. Let me give you a little bit more method to my madness. So tell me which one would you want, Marcus Rose? Because I actually think we have that same Jerry now. You know what I give Jerry credit for, though? I not only give Jerry credit, I not only give him credit for signing the checks. That's not what I'm giving him credit for. I'm giving him credit for trusting Jimmy Johnson and writing the checks. That's what I'm giving him credit for. Because that's what a good owner does. A good GM does. A good owner does that for a GM. Jerry was the GM, so he got to be both, the owner and GM. I give him credit because he was willing to listen to Jimmy. And not only was he willing to listen to Jimmy, it obviously made sense to him. It made so much sense to him, he signed the checks. Jimmy just didn't go in there and say, hey, Jerry, make the Herschel Walker trade. I'm pretty sure he had to explain to Jerry, hey, let me tell you what's going to happen if we make this Herschel Walker trade. Let me tell you what it's going to do for us. Let me tell you what my plan is after we do this Herschel Walker thing. I give Jimmy credit for listening and signing the checks, not signing the checks. No, he had to tell Jerry what he was doing. And if you look at what Jerry is doing now, do y'all realize Jerry is telling us he's back to doing what he did with Jimmy? He's listening. Yeah, he's listening. That's what Jerry is doing. And if you got an owner who will listen, well, what more can you ask for? Because you already know he's not doing the scouting. He's not doing the scouting. He's being advised. Hey, this is what I think we ought to do. Blah, blah, blah. It seems in the past Jerry didn't listen as well. But what I want to give him credit for now, and the same thing I give him credit for with Jimmy, he listened. And if you listen to Jerry, he's been telling us all through this process, I'm listening. I'm not the only one making decisions. He said that during the draft. He said it after the draft, and he was smiling like a Cheshire cat because Jerry knew we did good. This isn't the same Jerry of the past of I did good. No, Jerry knew they did good. They put together a draft board, and they stuck to it. I guarantee you, Ashton Genty, if this would have been Jerry of about 10 years ago, they'd have had to fight Jerry not to make a trade. Jerry would have sold the franchise for Ashton Genty. Jerry would have sold the whole franchise out to get Ashton Genty, and then we'd have had the best running back in the league and still losing. Because we wouldn't have been able to do nothing. Jerry would have probably done something crazy like that, like when he wanted Johnny Manziel. Could you imagine if we'd have gotten Johnny Manziel over Zach Martin? Jerry is listening. That's what I'm giving him credit for. Because he has not been doing that as much as he should have in the past. He's listening. And I can tell he's listening because he ain't doing a lot of talking. Jerry's not doing a lot of talking. I mean, he talked after the draft, but other than that, here he goes again. Dead silence. I mean, we've rarely heard something from him. He's listening. That's what I'm giving him credit for. Yeah, I'm not going to write I'm not going to write Jerry off because while Jimmy was doing what he was doing for the Cowboys, and while Jerry is doing what he's doing for the Cowboys, Jerry is not only signing the checks that Jimmy is doing. We got to understand what Jimmy was doing. What Jerry was doing. Jerry was not only improving the Cowboys with the mastermind of Jimmy Johnson, but what Jerry was doing behind closed doors is that Jerry was improving the NFL. Jerry was improving the NFL. Jerry was getting the endorsement deals. Jerry was the one who started getting the TV deals. Jerry was the one who started getting these spaceship football stadiums, getting all of this stuff lined up. The lucrative NFL is a result of Jerry Jones coming in. Because before Jerry Jones, this doggone league was stale. I can remember clearly people were barely watching football like that. Football wasn't what it is now. Jerry came in and brought the business in this thing, and he did it almost simultaneously while letting Jimmy help him put together a winning franchise. I'm telling you, we got to give Jerry credit. There's a reason why this man is in the Hall of Fame. There's a reason why this league absolutely loves Jerry Jones, because they understand without Jerry Jones, they wouldn't be nowhere near where they are. And contrary to what people understand, and Jerry's still working them deals. Jerry's still working them deals. That's one of the reasons why Jerry don't like Roger Goodell all that much, because they be giving Roger Goodell all this credit for stuff that Jerry is doing. Everybody know that this is Jerry that's really doing this, because Roger Goodell to me is the equivalent of Jason Garrett, and I won't say the equivalent of Jason Garrett, but I'll say the equivalent of Jason Garrett when we used to call him Captain Clapp. Goodell is a shrewd operator, but he ain't the reason why this league is so popular. That belongs a lot to Jerry Jones. A lot of that belongs to Jerry Jones. So, again, when I talk about Jerry Jones, I'm just giving him credit because he wasn't just signing those checks blindly. He signed those checks because he trusted Jimmy. And when a owner trusts his GM, and if you're going to give your coach that kind of power, and if you're going to trust your coach, well, I got to give you credit. I have to give you credit. Because I know that person has to explain to you what he's doing. And that Herschel Walker trade, go back and check history on that. Yeah, that's Jerry Jones too. Yeah, that's Jerry Jones too. Jerry is in there wheeling and dealing, getting that Herschel Walker trade done too. That's not just Jimmy. Jimmy don't know the logistics he didn't know the logistics of how to get those things done. Jerry understood those logistics already. Man, I'm telling you, got to give Jimmy a little bit more credit. Jerry, you got to give him a lot of credit. Because again, let me add to this, Marcus Rowe. Let's think about this. We do know we saw Jimmy in the NFL after the Dallas Cowboys, right? We saw Jimmy in the NFL after the Dallas Cowboys. The result was not quite the same. It was not quite the same. And Jerry and Jimmy, whether people realize it, they were the perfect storm. Jimmy bought a brand new friend. Jerry Jones bought a brand new team. The only way Jerry was going to transition this fan base from Tom Landry to Jimmy Johnson, because let's not pretend that everybody liked Jimmy Johnson when he first came on. People didn't like Jimmy when he first came on. They didn't like Jerry when he first came on. But Jerry knew this franchise needed to transition from Tom Landry and Tex Schramm to Jerry and Jimmy and Steven and this whole new regime. And he knew the only way he was going to do it is win. Man, y'all got to realize, we got to give Jerry credit. This man hired Jimmy Johnson. He hired Jimmy Johnson. That wasn't by accident. That was not by accident. Jerry believed in Jimmy. And I give him credit for that. Jerry believed in Jimmy. And the thing that I was saying when Jerry first hired Brian Schottenheimer, I was one of the first people. I actually was the first person I heard saying it, but I don't listen to people as much as I used to. But I was saying when people were doubting me, saying, Jerry believes in Brian Schottenheimer. I could tell the moment they hired him. I said, no, this is different. They believe in this guy. I never felt like they believed in Mike McCarthy the way they hired him. No, they believe in Brian Schottenheimer. And you can tell. You can tell they believe in him. And so this is one of the reasons why I believe this is going to work. I believe this is going to work because we're watching another coach do something that only Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson did. Coach not only the team, coach the franchise. Brian Schottenheimer, everybody is repeating this man. Will McClay, Jerry, Steven, the players, they're all repeating this guy. It's the first time I've seen it since Jimmy. I'm just telling us. So that's what I'm giving him credit for, Marcus Rowe. And again, got to give him credit. He did hire Jimmy too. You got to give people credit when they hire somebody they know can do the job. And Jimmy did the job. He did. Ghostface Aiman, appreciate you. He said our biggest star and leader, Dak, lost the Packers game. Nah, bro. I ain't even going there. Nope. Dak did not lose that game. The Dallas Cowboys defense couldn't stop running water. The problem with that Green Bay game, Jordan Love said it best. Jordan Love said, when we saw y'all were playing safeties at linebacker, it was over. Jordan Love said that. Do we not realize the only way Dak Prescott wins that game is Dak Prescott was going to have to score 49 points? Ghostface, see, when you just look at Dak Prescott, that's not this is exactly the culture that Brian Schottenheimer doesn't want in his locker room no more. Brian Schottenheimer doesn't want that in his locker room no more. And I'm going to tell you why. Dak Prescott, tell me when he threw those picks. Tell me when Dak Prescott threw those picks against the Green Bay Packers. Because I'm going to tell you something, Ghostface. If you got a real team, your team don't crumble after 2 picks. They do not crumble. Your team does not crumble after 2 picks early in the first quarter. They do not crumble. If your team crumbles after 2 picks in the first quarter or the first half, your team is terrible anyway. We don't even look at logic. Even without any interceptions, we were not beating Green Bay. And that's a fact. We were not beating Green Bay. We were not beating them. Because the only way we were going to beat them is that Dak Prescott was going to have to throw to somebody other than CeeDee Lamb, because that was actually the message that Green Bay sent to Dallas. We're not going to be dumb as all these other teams y'all been playing, Dallas. We know you can't run the ball. So we're going to rush 4 and drop 7 on you. Because who we really need to stop is Dak Prescott. Because the only way CeeDee Lamb gets the ball is Dak Prescott throws it to him. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover up CeeDee Lamb to where Dak Prescott, his first look will never be there. If his first look is CeeDee Lamb, it'll never be there. So now he's got to go to all these other wide receivers. What's the problem we've been talking about? Why are we so happy that we got George Pickens? Because the drop-off from CeeDee Lamb, statistically, the drop-off from CeeDee Lamb in 2023, there was no team in the NFL that had a worse drop-off from the number one wide receiver to the second wide receiver. No team was worse than us. Brandon Cooks was never the wide receiver the Cowboys should have got. You're wrong, Ghostface. I appreciate your comment, but you're totally wrong. And I know you're totally wrong because our defense couldn't stop Green Bay. Explain to me how we're going to beat them. Do you realize the Green Bay Packers could have actually scored more points on us? We ought to give them credit. They got off the throttle on us. They could have continued to score. They got off the throttle on us. Our defense couldn't stop them. The only way Dak Prescott was going to beat the Green Bay Packers in that playoff game, Dak Prescott would have had to score 53 points. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what else to tell you. Because for anybody who says Dak Prescott lost it, did you watch the game? We couldn't stop Green Bay. We literally couldn't stop them. And Dak Prescott kept playing. Dak Prescott kept playing because Dak Prescott does what a quarterback is supposed to do. He does what a person is supposed to do when they don't give up. Dak Prescott kept playing. Dak Prescott came back 30-something points. But even then, it didn't matter how many points Dak Prescott scored. Anybody who's honest with themselves, you have to, if you think that the Cowboys were going to beat the Green Bay Packers that day, you didn't watch that game. You didn't watch that game. The Cowboys didn't have a chance. Not because of Dak Prescott. We couldn't stop them defensively. They ran us off the field. And if they would have wanted to, they could have really mollywopped us. I think they could have scored 50 or 60. The only way the Cowboys were going to beat the Green Bay Packers, the Cowboys would have had to score 49 points. And this is the lunacy. This is the lunacy of our thought processes. So you're saying it's Dak's fault when even without the interceptions, we couldn't stop him from scoring. The Green Bay Packers are scoring 49. I guarantee you, the Green Bay Packers are scoring 42 points on the Cowboys without turnovers. And the reason why I know this is because outside of the turnovers, we still didn't stop them. We didn't stop them. That's crazy. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't. And that's why I'm so glad they're making all these changes on this team. The unmitigated gall of the Dallas Cowboys fan base. And not all of us, because some of us clearly understood this, because we knew what we were watching. You go into a playoff game with no linebackers, and you're going to win the game. Okay. I don't know what people were watching. Go ask any team, can you beat a team without linebackers? Watch what they tell you. You're not beating a team without linebackers. You're not doing it. I don't care who you are. You're not doing it. And Dan Quinn, Stephon Gilmore says he threw the game. I'm just telling you, we've already had this conversation. Stephon Gilmore said he threw the game. Stephon Gilmore said in all his years, he's never seen a defensive coordinator change up his entire defensive philosophy for the playoffs The defense you've been running all year, I mean, it hasn't been working as good. But you go to an entirely different game plan, one that is clearly not going to be able to stop a team that was running like the Green Bay Packers, and we may not realize it, but the Green Bay Packers, the Dallas Cowboys wasn't the only team they did that to in that playoffs. They almost did the same thing to San Francisco. San Francisco, though, had way more weapons than the Cowboys had. And the Green Bay Packers couldn't overcome the weapons that the San Francisco 49ers had. But we have to understand something. We were literally in the playoffs in 2023 on Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Do you not realize Dak threw 1,700 yards to CeeDee Lamb? When you get to the playoffs, you don't get to beat teams with one wide receiver. You don't get to do that. You don't get to beat teams in the playoffs with one wide receiver and a defense that's ranked below the middle of the pack. You don't get to do that. And for us to even be expecting that and then have the unmitigated gall to be blaming Dak about the Green Bay loss, man, miss me. I can't even think on that level. I can't even think on that level. We never asked Troy Aikman to do that. You know what happened when Troy Aikman didn't have a defense? You know what happened when Troy Aikman only had one wide receiver? You know what happened when Troy Aikman didn't have a running back? Go back and look at 1990 and go back and look at Troy Aikman after 1996. Go back and look at him and then come back and talk to me. You're not beating teams like that, man. You're not doing it. It's crazy the way the way we've even thought about this thing. There's no way. There's no way we were beating Green Bay. They were too good for us. They were too good for us, and we won't even admit it because we're so arrogant about the Cowboys. We were not beating them. And Mike McCarthy, tell me what gave you a clue we were going to beat him, Ghostface. Do you realize Mike McCarthy was here 5 years and didn't beat his former team one time? What? Just on principle. Just on principle, you ought to be fired. You can't beat your previous team one time? Man, you ought to be fired on principle. Fired on principle. And again, but that's why I give Jerry credit. Again, going back to what I was saying about Jerry. That's why I give Jerry credit. Jerry listened. I'm going to give him credit for that. Jerry listened. And Jerry knew the coach he was getting. Jerry knew he had a championship coach. And now, here he is again. Now he's doing it with now he's doing it with Brian Schottenheimer, man. I appreciate it. Poobie D, I like when Jerry just signed checks instead of trying to be in football operations. And think about this, Poobie D. He was in football operations. The issue is he wasn't just signing the checks. He was listening. He ain't just signing the checks. Trust me. The checks are not coming on his desk and he go, "What you want, Jimmy? Okay, sign it." No, Jimmy got to tell him what he's doing. And when Jimmy tells him what he's doing, he's like, and I'm telling you in particular, the Herschel Walker trade. That's not Jimmy by himself. Jerry orchestrated that. Jerry orchestrated that. Him and Jimmy, they orchestrated it. And Jimmy is orchestrating that also behind the scenes with the logistics. And I appreciate Jimmy. He hired him. He listened to him. And he made the moves that Jimmy said he wanted and needed. I got to give Jerry credit. And in 1996, even though there was a lot of residuals from the Jimmy Johnson era, it was not Jimmy who brought on Deion Sanders. That's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones brought in Deion Sanders. Jerry Jones realized that he had kind of made a mistake and let Jimmy go, and Barry Switzer came in here in 1994, got us to an NFC championship game. Jerry said, "Nah, man, I got to do something else." Jerry, when he got Deion Sanders, that was Jerry. I give him credit. Again, I give him credit for listening, for sure. I definitely give him credit for listening. And again, what I like about him, he's listening again, and he's telling us. He said it, if you think I'm the only one making decisions, I appreciate that, Jerry. Boy, I can appreciate that when you say you're not the only one making decisions. I can appreciate it. I really can. I can appreciate it. All right, let me get back to my man here. Let me get back to my man goes to Mike McCarthy. He said the Lady Snowbirds of Minnesota get more upset at me than the men when I try to take them for Herschel Walker. Boy, let me tell you something. And this is why I'm telling y'all, man, don't y'all never get this twisted. That Herschel Walker trade is also Jerry, man. That Herschel Walker trade is also Jerry. Because you know, man, Jerry had to sell that thing, man. Jerry had to sell that thing because what them boys got off of that doggone, I'm going to pull it up here in a moment. Man, I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to show y'all what the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know if you've ever looked at this. I'm going to show you what the Dallas Cowboys got from the Mike McCarthy, got from the Herschel Walker trade. Boy, it is absolutely crazy, man. It's crazy what they got from this thing. Let me read this super chat. Randy McIntyre, appreciate that $1.99 that super chat. Okay, go get Jeffrey Simmons, All-Pro last year. Now, Randy, we got to keep our eyes and ears open. Monday is going to be so exciting. Post-June 1st cuts. This is going to tell us what the Cowboys' mind really is. I don't think, hold on a second. My man Daniel Lim, he said, I don't think the front office has been quiet. No, I said Jerry been quiet. Jerry's been quiet. Jerry seems to only be talking here and there, but Jerry's been quiet. And again, you're saying it. Nothing has happened since the Pickens trade. Yeah, Jerry's quiet. And they're getting ready. I'm telling you. They're getting ready for the post-June 1st stuff. You just watch what I tell you. Post-June 1st. Poobie D. Exactly. He's a great businessman, but an awful GM. And now, Poobie D. But now he's looking like a great GM. Now Jerry is looking like a great GM. Why? Because he's listening. Because he's listening. So, hey, he getting back to what he was doing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they've already said that, Lisa. Yeah, he's quiet. He's been quiet. He's the one that got the Pickens. He did the Pickens thing. And think about this. Jerry didn't make a lot of hoopla about that. You think about it. Jerry didn't even make a lot of hoopla about it. Nope. It was other people. It was the interview of Will McClay. And Will McClay says, I got to give Jerry and Brian Schottenheimer credit for this. They were the ones who stayed on top of it. Yeah. Sounds a lot like the old Jerry, don't it? Jerry and Brian on top of it. Brian wants George Pickens. Jerry wants George Pickens. Brian wants George Pickens. Jerry starts taking care of the logistics with George Pickens. Sounds a lot like the old Jerry. This is not the same. It's the same Jerry, but Jerry's been real quiet. I like what he's doing. My man Danny in the crib up late. Well, it's not late out there where you are just yet, right? It's about, 11:15? He said, I'm graduating from Santa Monica College. Yes, sir. Congratulations, Danny. Getting my associates in business, then transferring to a 4-year Cal State University of Long Beach, getting my bachelor's degree in 2031. Yes, sir. Much success to you. Yeah, Marcus Rowe, Jerry's a salesman, no doubt. Jerry could sell an Eskimo. He can sell the Eskimo block of ice for the Alaska winter, 20% markup, and the Eskimo would thank him for the discount. Yeah, man. And again, boy, I'm telling you, Marcus Rowe, people do not understand. Jimmy and Jerry were the perfect storm. There's an old song, I can't remember how the song went, but the song said, you got the looks, or something, you got the looks and I got the money or the brains. Let's go make lots of money. Hey, man, that's what Jerry did. That's what he did. He had the right coach, man. He went and did what he did. He went and did what he did. And, hey, he's doing it again this year. I like what he's doing. I like what he's doing. And I'm going to tell you, I think they're going to blow. I think they're going to blow everybody's mind if they go make some of the moves that I think they may make after this post-June 1st thing. Boy. DJ Reader, I think, is going to be out there. Jair Alexander, and I'm telling you, if the Cowboys go get Jair Alexander, we might as well go ahead and say it. It's over for Trayvon Diggs. There will be no need for Trayvon Diggs if they make a trade. Make a trade or a pickup like that. There will be players out there, and I'm telling you, I guarantee you, the Cowboys are focused on what could and what might happen out there. Boy, I'm telling you, Monday's going to be exciting. It's going to be Christmas all over again, I believe, for us. Yeah, they saw him with them Hurricanes. Yeah, that boy tore it up in college. Lisa said there are a lot of people out there that don't like Jerry. I love him. Lisa, you already know I love Jerry. Yeah, I love Jerry. I love him even more now that he's listening. Because this is what he used to do. The ghost of Mike McCarthy, Jimmy and Marino never mixed well for some reason. Nope. I know many in the 90s were buzzing at the thought of them partying up together. Nope. And I think one of the main reasons is that Marino was one of them guys, man, he just seemed to think he didn't need no run game. Man, Dan Marino with a run game would have been sick. Dan Marino with a run game would have been sick. I still say Dan Marino is the best throwing quarterback I've ever seen. Solomon Jernigan said, I love Jimmy because he wasn't a Bobby Hurricane fan. Yeah, I remember Michael Irvin was there. Yeah. All right, so let's get through this thing with Troy Aikman. It's only a couple more minutes. But he's making some great points about Brian Schottenheimer. And I think the main point he makes that I really love, we got to get it on the field. We got to get it on the field and see what it looks like. Let them pads start crack-a-lacking. And let us not be going up against ourselves, but let us start going up against other teams. Rolando said, let's talk Jimmy Johnson with the Miami and Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. He should have stayed with the Cowboys. Yeah, Jerry should have kept him with the Cowboys too. I really do believe Jerry messed up I really do think he messed up a crazy dynasty. I think the Cowboys could have been the Patriots before the Patriots. I think the Cowboys could have won 6 Super Bowls with the things that Jimmy was doing with Jerry. And again, I'm going to show you the result of that Herschel Walker trade. I don't know if you've ever looked at it. It is legendary. Legendary how many players they got from that. Poobie D, he said Dan Quinn was the culprit of that L. Hey, Poobie D, I'm just telling you, hey, you I'm pretty sure you heard it too. Stephon Gilmore came right out and said it. He came right out and said it. He said, hey, man. He said he threw the game. Oh, okay, Louis said better now. He said try strolling a river or a drip in your sink. Okay, I got you. I'm telling us, man. I'm telling us. They say that boy threw that thing, man. Oak Cliff Rockefeller. Yeah, players love Jerry. It's Steven they don't like. They rather Charlotte run things, but Jerry won't do it. Hey, Oak Cliff Rockefeller. Isn't it strange the video they posted? Stephen Jones out there with those Cowboys players talking about he got each one of them a running mate. They're trying to change that narrative about Stephen Jones. Wilson Santiago, he said, I don't see the Cowboys getting Ramsey 2 years ago. He said, I didn't see the Cowboys getting Ramsey 2 years ago. Is that what you mean? Poobie D said the Packers punter didn't play. Poobie D, people don't understand it, man. They don't understand it, bro. The Cowboys were going, I'm telling this, man, people don't understand. For the Cowboys to beat the Green Bay Packers, boy, man, let me tell you something. Boy, Dak Prescott was going to literally have to score probably 42, 49 points to beat Green Bay. It just was nothing they could do. It was just nothing they could do. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop him. There was nothing they could do. Solomon Jernigan, he said, some people stopped watching after Dak threw the interception against Green Bay. He said, I watched the whole game. Cowboys couldn't stop the run. Defense on the field, 7-8 minutes drives, running the ball. Solomon Jernigan, me and you both. I watched the whole game. And the sad part is people don't give Dak Prescott enough credit. Dak was the only one playing like we not out of this thing. And then as they started getting towards the end and saw how many points they were putting up, they were like, wait a minute, maybe we are still in it. But, man, I'm telling you, boy, we'd have had to score about 42, 49 points. Poobie D said Jimmy didn't have Emmett, Irvin, or Aikman in Miami, and he didn't have a defense. That's it. That's it. And hey, Poobie D, that's why I say him and Jimmy were the perfect storm. Jimmy needed to win. Jimmy needed to win. I'm sorry, Jerry needed to win. Jimmy wanted to win. They were the perfect storm. Jerry had the money. They were the perfect storm. They were the perfect storm. And I'm hoping they do it again. I really do. I hope they do it again. I really do. I hope they do it again. Let's finish up Troy real quick.
Position, incredible talent. Few red flags off the field potentially. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think sometimes change is good for players. He did a lot of good things there in Pittsburgh. He had his moments that I'm sure he'd like to have back as well. I think it should be a good fit. It sounds like he's motivated to prove that he can be a number one receiver and then maybe cash in at the end of this year. But to complement him with CD, I mean, that's a pretty good tandem. And I think it kind of probably puts everyone else in the spot that they should be, as far as when you start saying, okay, who's your one, who's your two, who's your three, and what that might look like. It's a pretty formidable group that they have, and I'm sure Dak's pretty excited about it.
Seems like.
Now, I like how Troy just put this, because I've kind of mentioned this before, and it really makes perfect sense. The Cowboys' offense was really discombobulated because, as I mentioned earlier, the drop-off from CeeDee Lamb to the second, even with Brandon Cooks here, the drop-off, the disparity was insane. I mean, you're not supposed to have a receiver like CeeDee Lamb and the second wide receiver. You're not talking about a 2, 2A, 2B, 2.5. I mean, you don't have nothing but threes. You got 3A, 3Bs, 3A, 3B, 3B, 3C, 3D. You don't have a 2. The disparity was too great. It just was. It was too great. It allowed defenses to cover the Cowboys with just very simple concepts. Rush 4, drop 7. It's that simple. Because they're not going to run the ball. And once you get the lead on them, and the thing about Mike McCarthy, it didn't matter if you had the lead or not. Mike McCarthy's throwing the ball. And would run the ball at some of the most inopportune times. Mike McCarthy didn't put a lot of thought into the run game because he didn't like to run the ball. But what George Pickens did, that is so amazing. You don't even have to talk about the number 2. They're both number 1s. But the reason why they complement each other, I've already said this before, they're 2 different wide receivers. They're 2 different wide receivers. This is basically the ghost of Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper. Michael Irvin owned the middle of the field. He would do the slants into the cornerbacks, into the linebackers, into the safeties. He ate up the middle of the field. And then he could go in and then take you back out, and he could get you up the sideline. Michael Irvin was that. Michael Irvin could get you in the end zone. Michael Irvin, there's a reason why they called him the playmaker. But when Alvin Harper came, Alvin Harper opened up even more of the middle of that field because he's a boundary player. Alvin Harper was a chunk yardage wide receiver. 6'3", just like George Pickens, 6'3", 215. Hey, throw it up. I'll go get it. Throw it up, Troy. You don't have to be accurate. Just throw it up. I'll get it. That's George Pickens. A lot of people, I've seen some people compare him to Moss. Oh, man, I ain't going to go there with Moss. Alvin Harper, though, go back and look at Alvin Harper with the Cowboys. He got there in 91. They won the Super Bowl in 92. See, people don't understand. See, when you got a quarterback, you got to get them weapons in place. And then you got to let them weapons cook. I think the Cowboys got Emmett in 90 with some other players. And I'm going to show you this in a moment. And then in 91, they got Alvin Harper and some other players. And then in 92, they brought in the icing on the cake. Charles bleeping Haley. And everything changed. Even Troy said it. We were a year early. Yeah, that's the Charles Haley effect. That man was a flat-out menace. Cowboys, they're building it similar. And this time, they've started even earlier with the defensive ends the Cowboys have, it's insanity. If there is one thing I know the Cowboys will be able to do this year, is rush the passer. They're going to be able to rush the passer, man. Micah Parsons, Donovan Ezraku, Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, Marshawn Nealon. They will be able to rush the passer. Also, Odigizua is not your traditional defensive tackle. This dude plays up the field, puts a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Them boys on the one thing I know they're going to be able to do is rush the passer. I know they're going to be able to do that. Without a doubt, they're going to be able to rush the passer. The only thing we got to fix, get that one tech. And if Mozzie Smith was playing the way that he should be playing, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. I think we're saying we want to make sure, in case Mozzie isn't what he is supposed to be in year number 3, we want somebody to be in that rotation as Jay Toya gets up to speed, and by midseason, Jay Toya will even be a part of the Cowboys' short yardage stopping game. I do. I'm telling you, man, I'm excited about this team, and as we watch it gel, that's why I keep saying, you watch what happens over the next 3 seasons. Boy, this team is going to be a terror, but we got to get it on the field. Got to get on the field, let them pads start crack-a-lacking, and see what we look like then. Yeah, D-Law quit when he was playing in that last game against the Packers. Morris Newton, I wonder how many other people gave up. I really do. Lisa said, be realistic. Ramsey's not coming here. No, I don't think so either. I agree with you. I don't think he's coming either. NWB, what up with you? He said to me, Jerry deserves even more credit than Jimmy because when he hired him, I just said it. He hired him. He said, and then let me give you this example. He said, if I have 1,000 and you tell me to trust you with a 700 to bet who deserves the largest cut, that's what I'm saying. Hey, NWB. That's what I'm saying. You got to give a man credit. I'm giving him credit because he hired him. I'm giving him credit because he trusted him. I'm giving him credit because he listened. I'm giving him credit because he went in there and done them doggone deals. He went in there and did it. He went in there and done them doggone deals. I'm telling you, boy, Jerry deserves some credit. I give Jimmy the football mind, but I give Jerry the business mind to trust Jimmy, listen to him, and then make those moves. Oh, I love it, man. He did a great job. He really did. Rolando, he said, let's talk. Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't have linebackers against the Packers. They had cornerback. I'm telling you, Rolando, man. I know people want to blame Dak, and I'm not saying Dak didn't make mistakes. Dak made some mistakes. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Y'all can tell me anything y'all want to. I believe one of those interceptions that Dak Prescott threw, I believe one of those interceptions was on purpose. In a weird way, I think it was on purpose. And follow this. Do y'all remember how CeeDee Lamb was carrying on in the huddle? CeeDee Lamb was like acting crazy in the huddle. And he went to the sideline. He was acting crazy. He's pacing back and forth. And I'm sitting there watching the game going, okay, I'm watching this on TV and CeeDee Lamb is not open. CeeDee Lamb can't see he's not open? CeeDee Lamb was not open against Green Bay Packers, and he's going back and forth and going at Dak and blah, blah, blah. Dak came out the next play and threw it right to where CeeDee Lamb was supposed to be. to show, and it seems like in a weird way, see, you're not open, man. The second interception, that wasn't Dak's fault. Brandon Cooks, short. Dak Prescott threw the ball to him perfectly. That isn't an interception on any other wide receiver. A wide receiver that's 5'11", 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". That is not an interception. That cornerback climbed over the back of Brandon Cooks. And a lot of people were saying it was pass interference. He climbed right over the back of him and got that interception. But that still isn't the reason why they lost. It played a part, yeah. It's not the reason why they lost. The reason why we lost, we didn't have a defense that could do anything with them. And again, it was about to be 2016 all over again. The Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers got in a shootout. The Green Bay Packers won that shootout. The only way we were beating the Green Bay Packers, it was going to have to be a shootout. And I guarantee you, them boys are going to have to score about 40-something points because we just couldn't stop Green Bay that day. We couldn't stop them. All right, let's finish up with Troy.
Brian is, I don't know if you noticed this when you first met him, he's big on relationships and his faith. Did you get a feel for that when you first
Well, you can tell being around him that, he's a people person.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised by that part of it. I think that in general, when you talk to anyone about Brian that knows him, they like him. As far as his faith goes, I've not had those conversations with him, so I was not aware of that. But he's been around good coaching throughout his life. His dad and what he's meant to him, it's had quite an impact on him. And I'm guessing, based on what I've read, I guess no one really knows for sure until the season gets going. But it sounds like we're going to see some Marty ball. So see a few more rushing attempts and maybe not rely on the pass quite as much.
All right, now, y'all remember what I did a few days ago. Now, notice what Troy Aikman said. We're going to have a few more rushing attempts. And I do think Dallas Cowboy fans need to prepare themselves. We're going to have a few more rushing attempts. Do not think we're going to be running 55-45. Because if you look at what Brian Schottenheimer did when he was with Seattle, because that's the most recent resume. When DK Metcalf came to town, they started throwing the ball more than they ran the ball. It was his first year where he ran the ball a lot, but if you look at those wide receivers, he didn't have a lot of firepower. But boy, when he got DK Metcalf, it changed. And it makes sense. You got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. You should be a terror towards opposing defenses. And again, in his last season, let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. So, with Dak Prescott, just get ready because Dak Prescott is a better passer of the ball, better reader of offenses than Russell Wilson. They will run the ball more. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I don't. Now, especially with George Pickens. I don't think it's going to be 50-50. I think it'll be something more like 60-40. Probably be 60-40, maybe 57-43-ish, 55-45 at the most. But I believe it'll probably be more. I think it'll be closer to 40. And I think that they'll employ a power run game probably between Javonte Williams. They'll work Phil Maffa into that. And then Jaden Blue, I think he'll be the change of pace back. And he's going to play in the passing game. They're going to be really, really good once they get that all going.
Do you have any insight into where Dak Prescott is in coming off his injury last year and being ready for this year?
I saw him a month ago or so, and he said he was feeling good and ready to go. I think he mentioned to you all that if he had to go play right now, he could probably suit up and do it. So
yeah,
I don't see any reason why he won't be ready to go. Hopefully he can just stay healthy throughout the year. I mean, it's a challenge. It doesn't get any easier as you get older. I know that's a pretty significant injury he came off of, and he's had a few of those. But hopefully for his sake and the team's, he can stay healthy.
A lot of people don't realize how blessed Troy Aikman was. Troy Aikman was a part of the perfect storm. He was a part of that Jimmy plan. And Troy was so fortunate that he got it early. He's so fortunate that he got it early. Because he didn't make it to the point in his career where Dak Prescott is. He basically had to give it up there towards the end. What was it, about 11 seasons or something like that? Troy had to give it up. Troy is speaking from experience. It is hard to stay healthy. It is hard to stay healthy, man, as a quarterback, especially when they're putting you behind shaky lines. Especially when they start putting you behind shaky lines. And as Troy Aikman's career waned on, Troy Aikman got behind some shaky lines. Troy Aikman started getting his brains knocked out. It's hard to be successful behind those types of lines, man. It is. It is hard to be successful. And that's kind of what happened to one Troy Aikman. So he's speaking from experience. I want to show you real quick before we move over to 105.3 The Fan. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. I saw this one day and my whole mind was blown. When you look at what the Cowboys got for Herschel Walker, it'll never happen again. It'll never, ever happen again. May have to do a video on this in the future. And a lot of people do, we have to understand. Herschel Walker, whether people realize it or not, Herschel Walker may be one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen in sports. Herschel Walker was an incredible athlete. I put Bo Jackson, as far as incredible athletes, probably at the top of the list. Boy, if you were not old enough to see Bo Jackson, naturally muscular, naturally strong, just genetically fast, the dude was incredible. If Bo Jackson would have stayed healthy, I don't know if there would have been any more. I don't know if there would have been any records left. Bo Jackson was a dude, you didn't want to be in front of him when he was running. Well, Herschel Walker was also an incredible athlete. He was a terror at Georgia, I think it was. He was incredible. The dude was an incredible athlete. The Dallas Cowboys wound up getting Herschel Walker. And so what wound up happening is, it says here, 4 games into the 1989 season. And some of this is Wikipedia, so it could be, I won't say with a grain of salt. I just say keep some salt on it. But it says 4 games into the 1989 season, the Cowboys were winless under new coach Jimmy Johnson, who had joined the team following the retirement of Tom Landry. And it says that Johnson, looking to take the team in a new direction, reportedly came up with the idea to trade Walker on a morning jog with his staff. He briefly considered trading second-year wide receiver Michael Irvin to the Los Angeles Raiders. Man, let me tell you, Jimmy was ruthless. I don't know if this is true, but Jimmy was that kind of guy. And that's why I was laughing when Jimmy said he would never trade Michael Parsons. That's Jimmy working for Fox saying that. I don't care what Jimmy says. If Jimmy was coaching the Cowboys, and he could trade her, and if he could trade Michael Parsons and get 3 first-round draft picks, a couple of seconds, 3 first-rounders, a second and a third, I guarantee you he would do it. 3 first-rounders, a second and a third is franchise-changing. It is franchise-changing. It is. But I digress. It says the Cowboys, but the Raiders owner, Al Davis, reportedly advised him not to trade Irvin. Wow. I want to see what there's a reference for that. Greatest team ever, the Dallas Cowboys dynasty of the 1990s. Okay, so they got a reference for this. Very interesting. Al Davis told him don't do it. Johnson felt that Walker was the only remaining bargaining chip they had because they were the two players on the team, best players on the team. It says the Cowboys successfully started a bidding war for Walker, who had been named to 2 consecutive All-Pro second teams and was considered one of the best running backs in the league. Let me tell you something. He wasn't just one of the best running backs in the league. I guarantee you he was one of the best athletes in the league. I mean, big, strong, fast, you name it. The New York Giants were among the first teams to express interest. However, the trade would have been unfavorable for Dallas since both teams were in the NFC East. The Atlanta Falcons entered the negotiations, but eventually pulled out over fear of Walker's future contract demands. After the Cleveland Browns offered a significant compensation for Walker, Johnson and team owner, general manager Jerry Jones, decided to contact other clubs. This is why I say you got to give Jimmy credit in this. Jimmy is working this thing. Decided to contact other clubs using the Browns' offer as leverage. Johnson contacted Minnesota Vikings general manager Mike Lynn. Johnson looked to pressure the Vikings, gave Lynn a strict deadline of 6:30 p.m. before he would accept the Browns' offer. The Vikings were trying to make their first Super Bowl appearance. Boy, this is crazy. So they basically thought that Herschel Walker was going to be the player that took him over the top. It says make their first Super Bowl appearance at Super Bowl 11. It says in the previous 2 years, the Vikings lost to the Washington Redskins in the 1988. And okay, I can see why they're thinking this. In the 1988 NFC Championship game and lost to San Francisco 49ers in the divisional playoffs in the 88-89 playoffs. Lynn, feeling a star running back like Walker was the missing piece to a Super Bowl run, decided to pursue the deal before the deadline in order to get Walker to agree. To a trade. The Cowboys paid him a $1.25 million exit bonus. Young folks, don't laugh. $1.25 million, $1.2 million in 1989 was different, man. It's different than it is now. It's different than it is now. That you're thinking that's not a lot of money. That was a ton of money back then. Now, what I'm about to show you is all the players the Cowboys worked out of this Herschel Walker trade. And this is why I always tell people, we got to understand it was a different time. That 90s Cowboys team was a product of a whole different time. No salary cap. No salary cap. And I think something had happened around that time to where they really, and I think free agency started coming into play a lot more than it had in the past. Because in the past, teams could just build dynasties. They basically just didn't let players go. Things changed, no salary cap. Jerry and Eddie DeBartolo, I think his name was, they were really playing this thing and spending big-time money for players. That's how the 49ers built their juggernaut, too. It says in the original proposal, Dallas agreed to give Herschel Walker and 3 draft picks to Minnesota. All right, let me make sure this keeps moving. Man, I got to... All right. Make sure this keeps moving so you can see what I'm reading here. So it says one of those players, the Cowboys agreed to give 3 draft picks to Minnesota. They said in exchange, the Cowboys will receive 5 players, 3 draft picks, and conditional picks attached to each one of those 5 players should they be cut by Dallas before February 1st, 1990. And so it says one of those players that Minnesota agreed to send to Dallas was Darren Nelson, refused to report to the Cowboys. Dallas then agreed to trade Nelson to San Diego Chargers for the 5th-round pick in 1990, which the Cowboys promptly sent to the Vikings. In total, look at this. I want you to hear this and see this. This revised trade involved 18 players and draft picks, with the revised transactions involving San Diego in bold. So this is the trade. This is what the Cowboys were able to do with that trade. The Cowboys got Jesse Solomon, David Howard, Isaac Holt, Alex Stewart. They gave them Herschel Walker, their 3rd-round pick in 1990, San Diego's 5th-round pick, Dallas's 10th-round pick in 1990, Dallas's 3rd pick in 1991. Look at this. The Dallas Cowboys in 1990, they got Minnesota's 1st-round pick. 1990. Minnesota's 2nd-round pick. 1990, Minnesota's 6th-round pick. 91, Minnesota's first round pick in 1991, conditional on cutting Solomon. Minnesota's second round pick 1991. Minnesota's first round pick 1992. Minnesota's second round pick in 1992. Minnesota's third round pick in 1992. The Minnesota Vikings gave up their entire franchise for this. Their entire franchise for this. And I want you to see the players. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. Let me make sure you guys can see this. I don't know if y'all have ever seen this before. Have you ever looked at this before to see what the Cowboys actually got? I'm going to put the link to this in the chat. I don't know if y'all have ever seen this before, but this is absolutely incredible. I want you to understand this wasn't just a matter of just the Cowboys getting a few players. No. They got a haul for this, man. Look at the players they got. Minnesota's first round pick in 1990. They used as part of a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers to move up from 21 to 17 overall. And at number 17 overall, they used that pick to get just a running back by the name of Emmitt Smith. just a running back by the name of Emmitt Smith. They then got Minnesota's second round pick. They used as a part of the deal to get the San Francisco 49ers third round pick in 1990. San Francisco's third round pick was then used as part of the above deal with Pittsburgh to move to the number 17 overall. It says Minnesota's sixth round pick in 1990 used as a part of the deal with the Los Angeles Raiders to get defensive back Stan Smagala. Minnesota's first round pick in 1991, this is all a part of the Herschel Walker trade. They used as part of a deal to get a number 1 overall pick in 1991 draft from the New England Patriots. With the first overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys selected defensive tackle Russell Maryland. I mean, he wasn't really just a defensive tackle named Russell Maryland. Then in 1991, the second round pick in Minnesota, they used as a trade with Houston and got Alonzo Highsmith. 1992, they came back again. It says used as a part of a deal to get New England's first and second round picks. 19th and 37th overall in the 1992 draft. The 19th overall was then used as part of a deal to get the Atlanta Falcons' first round pick, number 17 overall. Number 17 overall from Atlanta was then used to select just a cornerback by the name of Kevin Smith. I mean, just Kevin Smith. I mean, had he not had his Achilles torn, he probably would have been one of the best cornerbacks ever. Number 37 overall from New England was then used to select just a player by the name of Darren Woodson. I mean, do we see the players the Cowboys are getting from this? The players they're getting from this is insanity. The 1992 second round pick for Minnesota, they parlayed that into Clayton Holmes. The Minnesota third round pick used as part of the deal in the first and second round picks. I mean, the Cowboys continued to get players. Continued to get players. The Cowboys, what they got out of this is insanity. It is saying that by the time all of this was said and done, it is saying that the Cowboys might have got even 40-something players out of this. But the end result of that trade of 1995, look at this. The Minnesota Vikings, 0 Super Bowl appearances. Cowboys, this was some of these other picks they picked up. Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, Clayton Holmes, Kevin Smith, Darren Woodson. Yeah, they only got 3 Super Bowls out of it. They only got 3 Super Bowls out of this, man. When you read this trade, man, this trade was insane. Boy, this trade was insane, boy. Jimmy and Jerry fleeced them boys, man. Boy, they fleeced these boys so bad, boy. They fleeced these boys so bad, it was pitiful, man. Pitiful. Cowboys got nothing but success out of this thing, too, man. Boy, Cowboys ought to be put in jail for that. Minnesota ought to be, I don't know who need to put, somebody need to be put in jail for this trade, man. Somebody need to be put in jail. Ghostface said they traded Tony Dorsett to the Broncos, then traded Walker to the Vikings. We were real weak after that till all the picks rose up a few years later. Yeah, man. Boy, when it came together, man. And that's one of the things I'm saying also, Ghostface, about what the Cowboys are doing now. I think we're going to have success. But I don't think it's done yet. See, when Jimmy got here and they started doing things, it took a couple of years for everything to come to fruition. And I do think I think it'll come together for the Cowboys a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit quicker than it did for Jimmy and Jerry, because I think the Cowboys have more pieces. I think the Cowboys, like you're saying, Ghostface, they were weak. The Cowboys had more pieces starting with Brian Schottenheimer than Jimmy had starting with Troy and Michael Irvin. But once the Cowboys get everything going, my next question is going to be, who's going to be the player, though, that really takes them over the top? I think George Pickens got them to being good to great. Jaden Blue, the draft, the free agency, I think that's got them back to being a good to great team. But once you do what you're going to do after the post June 1st, I want to see what they do. So then who will you bring in after that and say, so now we got everything we pretty much need? What can we bring in that'll put us over the top? What'll put us over the top? And we're going to wait to see what that is, because we got to first see what they do post June 1st. What they do post June 1st will really determine how far I believe they get as far as the playoffs go. And so next, who will be the player? Once they get everything they need, who will be the player that they say, now we got to get a player that takes us over the top? Let me give you an example. So let's say the Cowboys go and get DJ Reader. Cowboys go get DJ Reader. The Cowboys go get Jair Alexander. That'll settle up the defensive tackle position to one tech. That'll settle up the cornerback room. Then all we'll have to do is get it all working together. I would even say, let's just say for giggles, let's just say you even add another running back. You go in there and say, hey, we're going to get Nick Chubb. But who would be the player after that you would say, what player could now take us over the top? Whether it be offensively or defensively, what is the one player we could get that's available that could take us over the top? And I'll just name a player. So I want you to imagine the Cowboys get DJ Reader, Jair Alexander, and maybe even Nick Chubb, even if they don't. But let's just say if they did. Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen would be one of those players that if you said, we're going to bring in Keenan Allen and let him play in the slot some for us. We don't need him to necessarily start. Let's just get him in and let him play some in the slot. We're still going to play Tolbert, but we want to put Keenan Allen in the slot sometimes. Let's see what he can do. That's the type of move that you say, don't stop till you get enough. We got a great team. Now, who'll put us over the top? That becomes the question, because in 1992, with all those, see, that's the Herschel Walker trade. We're not even talking about getting Charles Haley in 1992. Charles Haley changed some things on this team. Charles Haley changed the attitude. He changed the attitude. He changed the nastiness on this team. Charles Haley was that dude that when the Cowboys put him on the team, teams started getting afraid of us then. Because people like, this dude crazy. Hey, Charles Haley crazy. Charles Haley can literally hurt your quarterback if you don't get somebody over there to block it. Would the Cowboys go out and get another player, or would they say, okay, DJ Reader, Jair Alexander, we're good. Let's just get what we have now. Let's get it working. And if they don't get those players, let's say they get those two players and they don't do nothing else. I said this the other day, I'm going to say it again. You're going to hear me talking about this the whole season. The next thing I want to see the Cowboys do that they haven't done, what will they do at the trade deadline? Will you look at your team and not do what they've been doing? Let's get a future move. Trey Lance. I mean, What are you getting Trey Lance for? Let's get a future move. Let's get Jonathan Mingo. I know why you got Jonathan Mingo, but I don't know at the time you brought him in, was he going to really be able to make an impact with Cooper Rush? But if we can get Dak Prescott to stay healthy, and I think he will, and you get this thing to work in the way that you want it, but then you look at it and say, okay, it's working good. Who's out there at the trade deadline that can take us to another level? One more level. Who's out there? That's what I want to see. Will the Cowboys do that? I'm just saying, will they do that? The ghost of Mike McCarthy says, I'm telling everybody, when you meet a snowbird from Minnesota, be sure to thank them for the Herschel Walker trade. Boy, yeah, it's a glorious feeling. Most taking it good stride, but the ladies can get mad, and they can get mad. Hey, man, I'm telling you, boy, that trade was crazy. Daniel M., he said, if anything, they could cut Diggs after this year and go with Bland, Revel, and Carson. Yeah, for sure. Daniel M., I think they're going to try to do that this year, if possible. Trayvon Diggs, if he comes back healthy, Daniel, they might trade him. They may trade him because the contract is perfect to get from under. They may trade him. They may see if they can trade him. Yeah, they save $10 million if they get rid of him this year. They save $10 million straight up. Goes to Mike McCarthy. Milton was so scary. He stayed in college for 6 years. It was the starting quarterback in his last one. Very scary. Yeah, Joe Milton, man, is a lot of people don't realize, man, Joe Milton is an older quarterback. There's a reason why Joe Milton is being so impatient. He was older than the quarterback over there in New England. And I believe he thought that he looked better than him. And I'm telling you something, man, this is a weird thing to me. But you think about everybody, the thing that really gets me, though, goes to Mike McCarthy. The thing that really gets me. Can you name me another team talking about their backup quarterback? I don't know of any other team talking about their backup quarterback. Only in Dallas does the backup quarterback get talked about. And I'm not listening to, well, Dak gets hurt, that's why Kyler Murray gets hurt. Yeah, Kyler Murray's been hurt quite a bit too. I don't hear anybody talking about the backup quarterback. Justin Herbert. This goes under the radar because he's Justin Herbert. They want him to be the face of the NFL / Josh Allen. Justin Herbert gets hurt. Yeah, he gets hurt. He's missed some time, quite a bit of time. We don't hear nobody talking about his backup quarterback. Who's the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't hear nobody talking about the backup quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't hear people talking about the backup quarterback. Only in Dallas. Only in Dallas do you hear this stuff. It doesn't make sense. We're talking about a 6-year college quarterback acting like this guy is going to come in here and take the place of Dak Prescott. I don't understand this stuff. It don't make sense to me. It's Dallas, I get it, but it don't make sense. Wolf King, what up? Appreciate that super chat. Ooh. I'm going to use this in the future, Wolf King. Maybe he says the missing piece is the Cowboys believing in the Cowboys. And let me add to what you're saying, Wolf King. Maybe the culture is the missing piece. And maybe that's why Brian Schottenheimer is working on that part so hard. Brian is saying, if we can just get the team and we can just get the pieces and then we can change the mentality, we can get over this hump. And I would agree. I know why he's talking about culture, because it's been one of the biggest problems on this team. Because, again, to me, it always seemed like three different teams. It always seemed like three different teams. This is the first time since Jimmy that I actually feel like, okay, this is a team. This is actually a team. Okay, I like this. I like this. And Dak even admitted it. Dak admitted something that people glossed over. Clarence Hill was asking Dak about this, and Dak says, because he said this in the past. And Dak said, well, yeah, I've said it in the past, but I was maybe not so much as lying. But when I was saying the things that I was saying then, I was saying it because I was talking about the offense only. Yeah, that's exactly what you've been doing. Because that's how the team was constructed. Mike was responsible for the offense. For the defense. Mike was responsible for the offense after he ran Kellen Moore out of town. Dan Quinn was responsible for the defense. Dan Quinn, Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy isn't questioning him about his scheme, none of this stuff. No, that's your side. Then we got Bone Fossil in here, and boy, it really went off the rails to me then. This dude calling dumb fake punts and everything. And Mike McCarthy backing him up on this stuff. It was dumb. It was dumb. It was so dumb to me. I had no understanding what we were doing. Schottenheimer saw all this. Yep, he saw all of this. Schottenheimer saw all of this and said, yeah, I'm going to make a change. This is one of the changes I'm going to make. Yeah, I like that comment, Wolf. Yeah, you're right. Cowboys believe in the Cowboys. So if they can get DJ Reader, and I got a feeling the Cowboys going to make a run at DJ Reader. They can get DJ Reader. I think they may make a run at Jair Alexander because, boy, Green Bay and him are not on the same page. They are not on the same page. So, they may very well get those two players. But we're going to see. We're going to see. I don't think they're going to try to do any more trading or too many giving up of the draft picks because they're going to get these two compensatory picks, but I don't think they want to get themselves out of that top four too much again. Ghostface said they signed Jay Novacek in free agency after the Cardinals didn't re-sign him. That was a huge pickup. Yeah, Novacek was a monster. Yeah, Ghostface, your memory is great. Hey, that country boy right there was a great pick, boy. Novacek was a great pick, boy. He long tradition of great tight ends in Dallas. Novacek was one of the top ones to me. Novacek is one of the top tight ends the Cowboys have ever had to me. He was great. He really was. He was great. I think Jake Ferguson got an opportunity to be great too, especially now that he's got George Pickens. Now, something Troy did say, he said that Pickens wants to prove that he's the number one and parlay that into a big contract at the end of the year. Man, I'm afraid that we're going to have a double-edged sword with George Pickens. If Dak Prescott gets this kid to 1,000 yards and 100 catches or close, and some of the things that we know that he can do, and he's going to probably be able to do more than that with Dak Prescott, boy, his asking price is going to be crazy, I believe. I believe his stock is going to be so crazy, but I'm going to just wait. I don't want to look too far into the future. But I heard what Troy said there loud and clear. I heard what he said there loud and clear. All right, but again, let's run over to 105.3 The Fan real quick. Let me see where I am. It's 2:07. Okay, we got some time. Appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight. We might rock out to about 2:30 tonight. Let's go over here to 105.3 The Fan. Very interesting discussion over there. And if we don't finish it all tonight, we're going to finish it tomorrow. But the part that they started talking about at the beginning, boy, this is another one of these fascinating things that they began to talk about. the Eagles' obsession with the Cowboys. Boy, I don't know if y'all see this stuff on X, but boy, these Eagles, how do you win the Super Bowl? And you're acting like the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. What are you doing? Yeah, like you like we won the Super Bowl. We live rent free in their head. I'm just telling us. Ghostface Gaming said, I like the direction we're going. Nowhere for show. Okay, I don't know if you meant to say that, but I think we're going somewhere. I do. I think we're going to be better than what we were. We're going to see some flashes. We're going to be good. And then we're going to keep building this team the next year, and it's going to be off the chain. Oak Cliff Rockefeller, yes, sir. Coaching matters. It does. It matters. Ghostface, not only does Blue have the potential to be a star, and I think he will be. Phil Maffa. Paul, I am telling you, this dude is people aren't talking about this guy as much. I've even heard some people talking about, yeah, he might not even make the team. No, this dude is making the team. He making the team. Miss Matrix in the crib tonight. What's going on? No, nobody's trading Bland for Ramsey. Oh, Ghostface. That's what I was saying. I didn't think you meant to say that. But Ghostface said, dumb phone, I like the direction we're going. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel you. But again, boy, Oak Cliff Rockefeller, they've already said it. This is one of the problems. They've already said that it could only be maybe a 6th-round draft pick with Trayvon Diggs. I think the thing is the Cowboys are going to see what he is this year. Cowboys will probably cut him straight out at the end. He'll be a post-June first cut next year, I think. Boy, Morris Newton. Boy, you ain't playing. Boy, Chris Jones. Woo, woo. Boy, Chris Jones. Hey, Lee Time, this is what we're about to talk about. You said, do we have a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker? We may have a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker after Matt Eberflus is done. Let's check this out. Very interesting discussion because it's all about the linebackers. Let's go.
I want to get to this deal real quick. Is we can laugh at the misfortune of our rivals, which is about all we can do right now with the Eagles. But apparently they're obsessed with the Cowboys. You guys see this story?
I don't know.
Reddit did a study of which fan bases mention the Cowboys the most. And it was actually 105 million posts studied. The Eagles mentioned the Cowboys by far the most, followed by the 49ers, then the Commanders, and the Saints and the Packers. And it's just a further reminder, your rival, they're not in a good headspace. You know, their identity is defined by your existence. So is that a consolation at any point at this time, Wolchuk?
I mean, I've always kind of believed we live rent-free in their heads, but yeah, no, I mean, for what?
They're probably dunking on us because they're actually on top. They're mentioning us.
I just pretend that's not even real, you know, that they didn't actually win a Super Bowl. This is an alternate reality. This is the same fake universe in which Luka got traded. You know, we're going to pivot somewhere else, and the Cowboys are actually champions. That's what we can dream.
Man, that was a bad week, wasn't it?
It was a rough time.
You know, I understand what they're saying, but, man, I don't know, man. The way it kind of turned out this season, I mean, was Luka that bad of a trade? I mean, it didn't work out for the Lakers. I mean, everybody was the moment he went to the Lakers, he go to the championship. The Lakers went home. I mean, the Lakers went home. So, hey, and again, on the Philadelphia thing, I don't think, why would you be talking about the Cowboys? You see this all the time on X. I mean, Eagles fans steadily worried about the Cowboys. Why are they worried about the Cowboys? You won the Super Bowl. You should just be talking about your team and what they're going to be. They are so always talking about the Cowboys. And I think one of their fears is when Dak Prescott is healthy, they know that Dak Prescott pretty much handles up on them. Yeah, Dak pretty much holds up on them, handles up on them. And I also think, you know, like A.J. Brown, now that they got Pickens, he said the Cowboys, he said, they're going to be a problem. Yeah, you better believe we're going to be a problem with George Pickens. We're going to be a serious problem. And so the Eagles, they can't even enjoy their own Super Bowl. They're worried about us, and we're 7-10. Yeah, Cowboys do live rent-free in those Eagles, some of the Eagles fans' head. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it was a rough time in DFW sports. It's really a rough time right now a little bit.
Yeah.
A little down in the dumpy, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're going to pick our boots up. We're going to get a win tomorrow night, and the Rangers are going to get a victory over the Blue Jays, and the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
It can't get any worse.
Oh, all right. Cowboys win Super Bowl. I see. Okay. I hope it happens.
Too far there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that.
We have a position group Broadus feels great about. I want to put it under the microscope. We go to Blogging the Boys. David Howman headline says that, the linebacker room has a lot of questions. Okay, Brian. So I'm going to give you each of these questions
I think
about
the linebacker
these guys,
room is
and then
great.
I'd love to know, what gives you confidence.
This is David Hellman.
Howman.
Okay.
Howman. You got Hellman Fox. Howman, Blogging the Boys.
Gotcha.
Leofau Young, and we don't know if it's a scheme fit. He had a success under Zimmer. How much of a concern is that going into year 2 for Leofau?
I think that Leofau plays with tremendous awareness. I think of his ability. He's one of these, we always talk about these sideline-to-sideline guys. I think he's got that.
Sean Ginseng, he said, I got some friends in Dallas. He said there is one more move coming. I think there's probably 2 moves coming, but if I was a betting man on the one big move coming, I don't think it's Jalen Ramsey. I don't think the Cowboys want to pay him $21 million for this season. I think the big move is going to be DJ Reader. I think that's the move. I think that's the one the Cowboys are going to take another swing for the fences on. I think it's going to be DJ Reader. But again, Sean Ginseng, if you can give us some inside info, let me know if I'm right. But I think they're gonna swing for DJ Reader. DJ Reader, I'm thinking maybe Jair Alexander. But I think if Jair Alexander hit the open market, I think the Cowboys will be priced out. And the reason why I think Jair Alexander will be priced out, just kind of listening around the NFL, I'm hearing the Rams need defensive backs bad. And I've been hearing a lot of people talking about Ramsey back to the Rams. Yeah, I think he played for the Rams before, didn't he? I thought he did. Maybe he didn't. But I've been hearing Ramsey to the Rams. So I think any defensive backs out there, the Cowboys are going to have to fight any defensive backs out there. I think the Cowboys will have to fight the Rams. The ghost of Mike McCarthy said poor Mingo is going to end up like the former WWF star Virgil, sitting on his table during a WrestleCon convention. Rest in peace, Virgil. I think they're going to give him an opportunity. Issue is, I don't know if he'll get as many opportunities. I think the Cowboys, they drafted Tolbert. Tolbert's been working hard. I think they're going to. I think they may give Tolbert a real good shot. I think they may give him a real good shot at that wide receiver. It's his to lose. It really is. I think it's Tolbert's to lose rather than Mingo's to win. Ghostface says Lamb 1, Pickens 2, Tolbert and Mingo 3, Campbell and Turpin in the slot ain't bad. Yeah. And I think Tolbert will probably get the majority of those snaps because, again, I do think Mingo's going to play. But I can tell you this. He better take advantage of his opportunities. And also, and I like what you said too about Turpin, Campbell, and Turpin in the slot. And also keep in mind, I do think that Jaden Blue is going to also be in that passing game for the Cowboys, so it's going to be pretty good. Robert Simmons, I saw when somebody said James Cooks, and then I saw someone else come back and say, "Don't get your hopes up." There was an article about it. Don't get your hopes up on James Cooks. But if the Cowboys bring in James Cooks, then what does that mean for Javonte Williams and Sanders? You bring in Cooks, you don't even need Sanders or Javonte, because I would just keep Cooks, Phil Maffa, Jaden Blue, and maybe I would probably keep a fourth. And another person I think is going to be lost in the sauce in all this is going to be Deuce Vaughn. I think it's going to be Deuce Vaughn. I do. Miss Matrix, she says, Sean, it better be for a DT. I think it's going to be DJ Reader. I do think it's going to be DJ Reader. I think the Cowboys are going to make a serious swing for him. I do. I think they'll make a serious swing for him. Ghost of Mike McCarthy said, I'm with you, G. With the rookie Revel on the roster and his potential, then I say bring in Gilmore to pass on his veteran knowledge. That's who I would bring in as a cornerback. I'd bring in Stephon Gilmore. He's already been here. He's been around the team. I would bring in Gilly. I really would. I'd bring in Gilly. Ryan said, haven't had a middle linebacker since Lee, to be honest, and a strong defensive tackle since the 2000s. Yeah. Everybody keeps saying Mozzie going to take a step, but I also keep hearing people saying they ain't sure he going to make a step. Sean Ginsberg said Pitt is talking about Sanders. Okay. Ghostface said if Dak goes down, we're probably going to be in trouble. We don't have a Cooper Rush who went 95 career starting anymore, and we talk about it a lot because Dak's hurt a lot. But again, Kyler Murray's hurt a lot. Justin Herbert's hurt a lot. You still don't hear people talking about their backup quarterbacks. You don't hear people talking about it. Again, who's the Jaguars' backup quarterback? I mean, he's been hurt some too. Who is he? And I don't think Shotty did it any favors talking about Milton is talking about Joe Milton is a hard worker. Why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't he be? He's being mentored by Dak Prescott. Everybody knows Dak Prescott, first one in the building. Dak Prescott, last one out the building. Of course he's going to do these things. He's been mentored by Dak Prescott. But my thing about Joe Milton, I wonder what will his patient level be if Dak Prescott is healthy for the next 3 seasons. We got to understand, man, this dude's an older quarterback. He's not a young chicken. I mean, Trey Lance is still 24. I mean, you're talking about 2 more years. I just wonder. Aztec in the crib, what up with you? Aztec said Rush had a shot to take us to the playoffs last year and he failed. Got swept by the Eagles and got set down in the last game versus Washington. Yeah, boy, that I still say that was a unicorn there, boy. They made that they turned that man into legendary, boy. Ryan, I agree with you. The backups are nowhere near Dak's level. Nope. I agree. He's nowhere. They're nowhere near. They're nowhere near. But I think Dak's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine now. I think Dak will be healthy for the next few years. The Cowboys got some things going now to where I think he'll be upright for a while. Marcus Rose said Joe Milton couldn't take an open quarterback job in the Patriots, but he can take a job from Dak. Man, I still get amazed by that, Marcus Rose. And Marcus Rose, it's not even just the Cowboys and the Patriots. Steelers could have got him. Steelers could have got him. Other teams could have got him. Cleveland, Tennessee, even with getting having to get other quarterbacks. If Joe Milton is that good, I think sometimes we don't use logic, because I think the honest truth is I don't think other teams saw it. It's the same thing that happened with Trey Lance. And people were making the same conversation. Trey Lance, he's a big quarterback. He can evade. He can run. He's got a cannon for an arm. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, he's going to take Dak's spot. It's more to playing quarterback than being a big quarterback. And Nick Harris, he said he finally had to admit it. He's like, man, I was surprised at how big because you hear the legend of Joe Milton III, and then you see him next to Dak Prescott, and you realize, well, he's not that big. He's a little taller than Dak, but he's not that much bigger than Dak. And again, how many quarterbacks have we said have a cannon for an arm? There have been so many of these guys, man. There's been so many of these guys. And they don't turn out on the pro level. One thing I've learned about the NFL, it does not require a cannon to play quarterback in this league. It doesn't require a cannon. All it requires is for you to be able to make the throws. Tom Brady did not have a cannon. Josh Allen can throw the ball further than Patrick Mahomes. Doesn't require a cannon. Requires a brain. It requires touch. It requires ball placement. It requires being able to lead. That's what it requires. And in some cases, if you got the right defense, it might not even require that in some seasons. But again, I don't get the Joe. I don't get the Joe Milton stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get the Joe Milton stuff. I understand. Okay, I understand what he is, a developmental quarterback. I'm good with that. But Paul, we start talking about this stuff about this dude taking Dak plays. It make no sense. It just don't make sense. There were jobs open. Why didn't teams get him to get those jobs? Doesn't make sense.
Kind of understanding. I think he knows how to get around blocks or play off blocks. He gets in a little bit of trouble. He's a little bit opposite of Sanborn, who they signed from the Bears, who kind of undercuts blocks and then gets in on plays. Maris can't do that.
I want you to hear something that they're saying that I thought was very
kind of
interesting about Sanborn versus Maurice Leafau. Check this out.
He's one of these
Leafau.
I think that
Scheme fit. He had a success under Zimmer. How much of a concern is that going into year 2 for Leafau?
I think that Leafau plays with tremendous awareness. I think of his ability. He's one of these. We always talk about these sideline to sideline guys. I think he's got that kind of understanding. I think he knows how to get around blocks or play off blocks. He gets in a little bit of trouble. He's a little bit opposite of Sanborn, who they signed from the Bears, who kind of undercuts blocks and then gets in on plays. Maris can't do that. He's got to be able to play over the top of blocks and get to the outside. But he is very, very capable. When he's involved with plays, he was playing some nickel stuff. And when he was involved with that, you could see that the guy's got some awareness that he plays with his eyes. So I'm positive about him. I think he's a nice scheme fit for what Matt wants to do with his linebackers and how he plays them. So I'm an arrow up, as they would say.
Where do you see his career going? Is he a starter or a depth guy?
So I like what they're saying here. This is very interesting. So you got Leafau, who is a speed type linebacker. You got Jack Sanborn, who is actually a slow linebacker. But they're saying what makes Sanborn so good, because of his size and his power, he gets under and through blocks, which allows him, in other words, to take angles on runners, and he's a tackling machine. I'm telling you, this guy's a tackling machine. Maurice, and it's funny when you look at Maurice Leafau, he really doesn't look like a linebacker to me. Y'all tell me if y'all think the same thing. When I see him, I don't see linebacker. I mean, these new size linebackers to me are weird. I mean, you think about even Demarion Overshown. When I see Demarion Overshown, I honestly don't see linebacker. Darren Woodson was the size of Overshown, if not just a tinch, might have been a tinch bigger. I see they look more to me like defensive backs. Maurice looks like a defensive back to me. And so what they're saying makes sense. He can't get, with his speed, he can't get under blocks. So what he has to do is use his speed to get around blocks. So with him, he's not able to really cut runners off the way that you want him to. So because he have to go around the blocks, he may miss some cutbacks. So if you got a real shifty runner, Leafau is running at him at an angle. There's a blocker out there. He can't get under that block. He has to go around that block. Well, the problem is if that runner cuts back inside, the running lane is wide open. So he's saying something about Jack Sanborn. I thought this was very interesting. He's basically saying that Jack Sanborn cuts off running lanes better than Maurice. So it's going to be very interesting to see which one of those guys start. Sanborn is he's an Eberflus guy. And if you think about Dan Quinn likes a lot of his defensive players to be slimmer. I think he's one of the reasons that Mozzie Smith isn't exactly what he's supposed to be. Made Mozzie lose the weight. Then Mozzie had to gain the weight. Now we got to see what Mozzie is now that he's back to his playing weight. I think this is very interesting what he's saying about these two guys. And so this is a very big deal. This is a very big deal. Really is. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Goes Mike because he said, yes, no Bobby Belt for this 105.3 clip. Man, let me tell you something, boy. Man, I don't know if you ever watch some of these. Sometimes you ever watch some of this stuff with Bobby Belt. Boy, Bobby Belt be on here clowning sometimes. Bobby Belt be on here clowning sometimes, boy. They be having to calm that man down. But, yeah, I really think this is interesting what he's saying. And he's saying that he sees Maurice as a starter. Let's check it out.
Oh, I think he's going to be a starter one day for you. I do.
Now, Overshone's hurt, and it's almost like Sean Lee, where this guy's unbelievable. But you can't count on him for this year. Can you count on him long term? I don't know. With back-to-back injuries like that, him and Diggs, I'm just like, maybe they'll have a good career, but it's not heading in.
I think at some point he is going to play, talking to people over in the organization about that. I think that the things that they can't put a timetable on, like, is that a week 6? Is that a week 8? And people will say, well, damn, Broadus, he tore everything in his knee. He might not play at all. They believe that he will play. They just can't put a.
They're talking about DeMarion Overshown. I'm very concerned about this. I'm very concerned about this talk about him coming back early. I'm very concerned about this. I'm sorry. He couldn't touch the field with me. He could not touch the field for me before Thanksgiving. He could not touch the field for me before Thanksgiving. If there was a game that I would even probably circle on the calendar, I might be circling that Thanksgiving game. I just don't think I would want DeMarion Overshown to come back early. It seems like these players, they come back early, they do well for a while, and then that injury reoccurs. I really think they should consider, if not shutting him down for the whole season, man, I wouldn't want to see DeMarion Overshown until after Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving. I would have to let that be his debut. But again, in this linebacker talk, the difference between Maurice and Sanborn is very interesting.
Specific date on that, I think where he gets away with things is athletic ability. I think it's more athletic ability than I do think it's instinct.
What up, Charles?
In the Range Rover Velar.
My man Charles, what up with you? Good to see you. I put it like this. I appreciate what you're saying, my man Oak Cliff Rockefeller. But I tell you this. You know what I want?
You mentioned his technique.
If everything goes according to plan. And I like Joe Milton. Do not get me wrong. I like Joe Milton. I think he's talented. But I think he needs some developing. But I tell you this. I hope everything goes according to plan. I hope we do not see Joe Milton for the next 4 years. Yeah. I don't want to see him for the next 4 years. I don't want to see him for the next 4 years. Because if everything is going according to plan, then Dak Prescott is not only winning, but Dak Prescott has won a Super Bowl and still winning and still competing for it. I hope everything goes according to plan. I don't want to see Milton for the next 4 years. I don't want to see him. I don't, and I'm going to tell you this part. As much as much as I like Dak Prescott, I do not want to see Dak Prescott to go out like Tony Romo. The Dallas Cowboys retooled the team for a rematch against the Green Bay Packers. It's basically how it worked out. In 2014, I believe it was the catch. The Cowboys came back 2 years later, 2016, this time with Zeke. Zeke was supposed to be for Tony Romo. Everybody was basically saying if they could get Tony Romo another run game because they saw what happened when we had DeMarco Murray. Okay, so if we get him Ezekiel Elliott, the best running back in college football, it'll be different. I still say one of the biggest mistakes the Cowboys made, and it seems like Brian Schottenheimer's doing different. They didn't do nothing on the defense. Cowboys didn't do nothing to fix the defense. Tony Romo never got to play with Ezekiel Elliott. I wish without it's not that I would not want to see what Dak did in 2016. But a part of me says I would have loved to seen Tony Romo. I wonder what Tony Romo would have did that season. Just that one season. Because it's hard to finish better than 13-3. And I'm not sure the record is better with Tony Romo. And the reality is the record probably isn't better with Tony Romo. And one of the reasons why the record isn't better with Tony Romo, Dak Prescott was head and shoulders a better leader than Tony Romo in his first season. Dak Prescott was already showing he was an incredible leader. But not only did Dak Prescott do that in his first season, Dak Prescott did something that Tony Romo wasn't capable of doing anymore. Especially with the line that they had. Dak Prescott was able to do so many things with his legs. And it was just so many things about Dak Prescott that made a difference. I'm not sure if the season would have been different. But I still would have liked to known, okay, what would Tony have done? I don't think the season record is better. But I do wonder about the Green Bay playoff game. I wonder, and Dak Prescott was phenomenal in that game, even though they kind of started slow and fell behind a little bit, and Dak rallied back, got the team, I think, tied up 31-31. It was an incredible game for Dak Prescott. Still sometimes wonder if Zeke could have finished that. But I say all that to say this. I don't want Dak Prescott to go out like, and it's not what I want. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not in control of anything. I don't want to see Dak Prescott go out like Tony Romo did. And I don't think he's going out like Tony Romo either, because Tony Romo didn't take care of his body. But I do not want to see Tony Romo. I mean, I don't want to see Dak go out like Tony Romo. I want to see Dak Prescott go out on top. Dak Prescott has been such an incredible leader for this franchise. He's way better of a leader than Tony Romo ever was. And I like Tony Romo too. Tony Romo, and I've already talked about Tony Romo before. I give Tony Romo so much credit. People do not understand how great of an athlete Tony Romo was. Man, Tony Romo, great athlete, man. For real, great athlete. But he just didn't take care of his body. And not only did he not take care of his body, Tony Romo was not totally focused on football. Tony Romo couldn't wait for the year to be over. Rather than Tony Romo working on his body, working on throwing, all this stuff, Tony Romo was such a natural athlete. So many of the things that he did came so natural to him. Man, Tony Romo couldn't wait to hit the golf course. And I'm going to tell you something if you don't realize it. Golf is hard on your body. I think it's hard to play football and golf. I mean, golf is hard on your body, man. It is. Hard on your back, hard on your knees. It's a very, I would really think it's a tough sport to play while playing football. And Tony just didn't take care of his body. And I think it came back to bite him in the end. But Dak Prescott really takes care of his body. And again, I had a subject last night. I'll probably resort to it again later on today when I do the 4:30 live stream. Dak Prescott, people do not understand how incredible this guy's been, even with the injuries. Dak Prescott has always bounced back from these injuries early. The ankle injury, that wasn't supposed to be 9 months. Dak Prescott battled back, got back in there, and came back and balled out. The thumb injury, Dak was not supposed to come back that quick. They call him a quick healer. Well, this technology is so much better these days. Dak battled back, came back from that. Dak also had a shoulder one year, and he didn't really complain about it. But I think some of us kind of knew something was wrong in that area. Dak had his shoulder cleaned up. But here he is again. This hamstring off the bone thing. There are people really kind of looking at this thing with Dak Prescott kind of side-eyed. I mean, nobody wants to say it out loud. I mean, there is a person out there saying it out loud, but I don't believe that it's true. But there are some people out there kind of looking at this side-eye going, this dude wasn't hurt. There are people out there saying this because I think a part of it is their own expectation. They didn't expect Dak Prescott to be cleared for everything except for contact. I don't think they expected that. And I think a part of it is I don't think they wanted it. But Dak Prescott, I don't want him to go out like Tony Romo. Because Dak has been so dedicated to the game. Way more dedicated to the game than Romo. Way more dedicated to the Cowboys than Romo. I don't want to see Dak go out like that. And I don't think he is. Dak takes care of his body. I do. Wolf King, appreciate that super chat. Wolf King says if Dak balls out with CD and GP, yeah, it means our whole offense is going to ball out. I totally agree. And our defense will feed off that. I agree too. Sleep well, y'all. Go Cowboys. Appreciate you, Wolf King. Yeah, I agree. I like what you said there. But again, back to this linebacker thing, man. I think this is pretty interesting what they're saying, though, about this linebacker thing. Because I believe that the linebacker room is one of the rooms the Cowboys improved exponentially this season. I do. What up, D Kizzle? What's going on with you? Good to see you. Yeah, Tech, I agree with you. Eventually, we have to break that drought. The cycle of not getting to an NFC championship game. I believe so, too. And I think it's going to happen here up under Brian Schottenheimer. I really do. I think it's going to happen. I think they're doing so many things right. It is going to be incredible once they get it all going. Ghostface said, I do think Romo would have balled out Dak's rookie year. Hey, he was at that age, Ghostface. He was at that age where Romo was getting to be like that. I mean, Romo basically knew there's nothing you could throw at him that he didn't know. He knew the game like the back of his hand. And again, let me read the rest of the comment and see if you're going where I'm going. I do think Romo would have balled out his Dak's rookie year, which was Romo's last. That might have been Tony's year. And that's why I would have loved to have seen how it would have turned out. We had a squad, and Romo got a TD drive, his last in the season finale. He looked awesome on that drive. He really did. Yep, he really did. And I still even say, though, with that squad goes to face, the defense wasn't good. Defense wasn't good. The defense was still giving up points, just like they gave up points against Green Bay in 23. The Cowboys gave up points, just like they did in 2014. They gave up points to Green Bay. The reason why it wasn't just the bad call on the catch, it was another shootout. I remember that game. Aaron Rodgers was on one leg. We couldn't even stop Aaron Rodgers on one leg. What in the world is that? We couldn't stop Aaron Rodgers on one leg in 2014. It was shameful. It really was. It was shameful. But Tony Romo was that type of quarterback, though. Dude didn't mind getting in them shootouts. Dak like that too, but Tony Romo was like that. He didn't mind getting in them shootouts. But again, the thing with Romo, and I think one of the main ways that Dak really beat Romo, it was not only Dak's performance, because Dak played so good, but again, it was Dak's leadership. Dak did things that Tony never did. Tony wasn't that guy. He just wasn't that guy when it came to leadership. Tony didn't get in that mode until he got his last contract. And when he got the last contract, bam, it was over. He got injured. Tony never was the leader that Dak was. And that's where Dak got it. I mean, really, that is where Dak got Tony Romo. Because Tony Romo wanted to play Dak, or basically have a competition. At least this is what I heard. He wanted to have a competition to get the job back. But what Tony missed, Dak didn't just beat him on the field. And Dak might not have beat him on the field had there been some kind of playoff between him, some kind of quarterback competition. Dak might not have beat Tony. But where Dak beat Tony? Leadership. Dak beat him leadership. Dak won that team over. It was leadership. Tony wasn't a leader. Tony was a good athlete. Tony wasn't a leader. Dak beat him in the locker room. He beat him on the field, and he beat him in the locker room. And I want you to think about this. I was confused this year. For the longest, I thought that if a player was injured, I thought that player couldn't be around the team. At least that's what I was always told, and it seemed like that's what people said, and that's what players did. When Tony Romo got injured, never saw Tony Romo. I'm telling you, this is how Dak beat him. Tony Romo got injured. You never saw him. Nobody ever saw Tony Romo. Where was he? I've seen this from other players. Other players get hurt on other teams. You don't see him. Even this past season, Cowboys players were hurt. Didn't see him. So I automatically thought that if players were hurt, they couldn't be on the sidelines, they couldn't be with the team, none of that. That's what I thought. Well, I'll tell you this. Dak Prescott set a new precedent. I've never seen a hurt player more than I saw Dak. Dak Prescott actually tried to be on the sidelines. This dude tried to be on the sidelines. They finally had to put him up there in the box, because if they didn't put him on, if they wouldn't have put him up in the box, he'd have been hurt again, getting rolled up in some kind of tackle or something. But Dak Prescott, the one thing he did, he never removed himself from the team. Tony removed himself from the team, and that's where he beat Tony. He beat him in the locker room. And that's another place where it's hard to beat Dak. Bobby Murphy, he said, you will lose, and lose royally you will. I see you. I see that Eagles jersey on there. Appreciate that super chat, Bobby Murphy. I see that Eagle. I see them Eagles. I see them birds. Man, you just wait. You just wait, Bobby Murphy. I got a video for you tomorrow. Marcus Rowe, he said, man, let Overshown alone. Marcus Rowe, I'm telling you, I hope they let this dude. Man, I don't want to bring Overshown back until Thanksgiving or later. Let this dude heal, man. Goes to Mike McCarthy. He said, yeah, I say no earlier than week 10 bye for Overshown. Yeah, man. Don't even let this dude talk you into letting him come back. Overshown needs to get fully healthy, because, again, I'm getting a little bit afraid as it applies to Overshown. I do not want him to be the next Sean Lee. Do y'all realize Sean Lee is Hall of Fame if he stays healthy? Sean Lee is Hall of Fame if he stays healthy. Sean Lee may have been able to help us to get over a couple of these humps that we couldn't get over in the past. I really do. This dude was really, really good. He really was good. Marcus Rowe, he said, Overshow need to heal. Yes. We already got a such training staff. Yep, that part too. Rushing people back before they're ready. And boy, they good about getting people back on the field. But it seemed like once they get them back on the field, they do good for a while, and then something goes haywire again. Sean Ginsberg, yeah, let's see. Easy rollover. Sean need to come back 100. Yeah, this man needs to sit out, man. Ryan said, we grew up in the 90s and don't care about NFC championships. You even have Commanders fans bragging about it. Oh, yeah. Chips is all that matter. Azteca, he said the whole point in signing Sanborn and Murray Jr. gives us a sigh of relief at linebacker until Overshown is fully healthy. Boy, hey, Azteca, I got to go back and look at tape on Justin Barron. And I'm going to do it when I get off here tonight. I got to go back and look at tape on Justin Barron. Boy, they keep talking about this dude. Man, they are saying that this dude is the truth, man. They saying that this dude is the truth. I don't understand how he went undrafted. I got to do some digging on that too. But boy, they saying this dude is the truth. Justin Barron is going to make this team as an undrafted free agent. He's going to make this team. All right, let's check out a little bit more of this.
Technique for getting underneath the blocks,
Yeah.
and that sort of mitigates his 4.76 speed.
Yeah. He plays much quicker, and and when you could get away with being maybe a 4.7 linebacker.
Yeah.
When you understand, like, you're able to read and react really quickly. He sees when you watch him with the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I do not advise linebackers to undercut blocks, because usually that gets you out of position, and now you've created a huge running lane or where the ball's going to be, and then you're out of position. But he has this ability to kind of dip underneath and then get back and make the play, which I'm like, oh, he's about to get, oh, wait, he just made the tackle. And there's people I was talking to in Chicago that cover the team, and they're like, they are super, super surprised that the Bears let him walk. And they think it's because of the new staff.
He was a fan
They brought
favorite
in
there.
They spent some money at linebacker too, didn't they? Like they wanted to.
I'm saying, yeah, but I know that the people in Chicago were really surprised for the amount of plays that he made for them for 3 years, that they just let him walk. But they're blaming the new regime with the coaching staff for the reason they're letting him walk.
Okay, we're going over questions about Cowboys linebackers. I'd love to have you weigh in. Like, do you see it more as questions or confidence at 877-881-1053? I don't know if Damone Clark makes the team. Murray, coverage, and then point of attack as the primary defender in the run game. He struggled. And then there's Shamar James, the rookie captain from Florida that kind of flashed last week. Looking forward to getting out there and maybe getting a chance.
Yeah, Shamar James.
His one opportunity in front of the media, he had an interception. What he does when you watch him.
What up, Cowboys Nation 600?
Watch him play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead if you want to talk about what you saw him at Florida. I'll give you an opportunity.
Oh,
to do
well,
that.
Shamar James was just a guy that I saw downhill.
Man, let me tell y'all something. Boy, y'all talking about Danny White in the chat. Boy. I don't know. Boy, I wanted Danny White to get a doggone Super Bowl so bad. Boy, I wanted Danny White. Boy, I wanted Danny White to get a Super Bowl bad, man. This dude sat behind, I think it was Roger for so long, played as the punter. Boy, I wanted Danny White. Danny White was actually good. I think somebody mentioned it early. Man, Danny didn't have the defenses by the time he became the quarterback. Danny didn't have the defenses. Yeah, Danny didn't have the defenses. There's no reason that Danny White goes to the NFC Championship games 3 times in a row and don't win. Danny needed a better defense in front of him. He really did. Danny needed a better defense. Man, I feel so sorry for Danny. I used to love me some Danny White. Boy, I told y'all before, boy, when Dwight Clark caught that catch that looked like Joe Montana and thrown out of the back of the end zone, boy, Dwight Clark was a very tall wide receiver as it was. Boy, that joker jumped up and caught that ball. Boy, I cried like a baby. I was a youngster then. Boy, I cried like a baby, boy, when that happened. Ooh-wee. Roy Fitt, he said, Big Nate is there just about every day, brother. He has a show at the Star. He gets on the sideline talking with the players. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me see that bit. Roar Fit. He said, I bet you see more ex-players on the sideline soon. That's what I want right there. Yeah, Roar Fit. I appreciate what you said there. I want to see more ex-Dallas Cowboys on the sidelines. I do. Ghostface, you talking about when Danny White lost that game? Boy, let me tell you, boy, I cried like a baby when that boy, and they called it the catch back then too. Boy, I was so ooh. Oh man, Joe Montana's legacy, boy. Oh man. I cried like a baby when he caught that catch, man. I wanted Danny White to go Super Bowl so bad, boy, it hurt me, man. And I was a youngster then, boy. Yeah. Oak Cliff Rockefeller. Boy, I do too. I got to go back and look at film on him. Boy, I hear Barron they are really talking this dude Barron up, man. They really talking this dude Barron up. I got to go back and look at the film on this dude and see what all the hoopla is about. He got the highest undrafted free agent contract, I believe, on the Cowboys. And it might have been one of the highest around the league. I mean, whew. They act like this dude. I got to see what he is. Okay. D. Kizzle said Justin Barron is a younger prime Leighton Vander Esch on roids. Man, if he that good, I got to see him. I got to go look at him. Marcus Rowe, boy. Me too, man. Boy, I wanted Danny White to win so bad, man. It was killing me, boy. Yeah, Danny White should have went to the Super Bowl in 81 when Montana, that man, yes. That's the one, Ghostface. Boy, I cried that year, man. That was the last time I cried, but I cried that year. When Joe Montana made that throw, boy, I cried, boy. I didn't know what to do. Boy, boy, that was the first time my dad had to sit me down and really have a man-to-man talk with me, boy. And he told me, he said, hey, you don't cry over stuff like this. He said, I want you to always remember this is just a game. It wasn't a game to me then, boy. I wanted Danny White to win so bad. Boy, it hurt me, man. Oh, yeah, you ain't lying, goes to Mike McCarthy. He definitely ain't big. He looks like he looked totally different.
Player. Mm-hmm. He was a guy that I didn't really see a ton of natural instincts from him.
That's him.
And he's a little bit stiff at times in coverage, but I did follow up with some people at Florida after the Cowboys drafted him. He was playing banged up and hurt. Mm-hmm. That might have hurt him a little bit, but he was a guy that was really good downhill. Had good blitzer, I thought, when it came to that ability. Yeah. And it was just one of those things where he would at times kind of be, hey, I'm running in late, jumping on the pile. That annoyed me. Like, that's something that takes me off when we're watching and studying these guys. But hey, certainly he was a big-time five-star recruit, chose Florida over Alabama, grew up in Alabama. But that was exciting to hear. I thought he would contribute as a special teams guy year one. I wasn't sure how much he'd get into the mix at linebacker, but Eberflus is a dude who's hit on some of these middle-round gems. When you go back to Anthony Hitchens' first go-around here,
boy.
Maybe he can develop a guy like that.
This is a guy that didn't show a lot of instinct at Florida, and you were really worried about him playing in coverage, and then here he has an interception. On Joe Milton in the practice that we got to watch the other day, which is a good sign right there. But where I thought you needed to play him as a will linebacker, free him up, and don't let him have to think about how he's going to need to play. Just let him go run. This guy is more than capable of running down plays. Zach mentioned the downhill stuff. He's a really good blitzer too. So you might find something with this guy. We might be getting in these preseason games and all of a sudden, you see this guy having to make some pressure, and maybe this is the guy. But I thought as a will linebacker, that was going to be his best avenue to potentially making this team.
Looking at the potential for star players, it's overshown getting healthy, and then you have like sufficient starters, young guys. You know, I think maybe it's not the weakness that it was last year, but we're a far cry from being really good, aren't we?
I think the thing that with Murray that I've always liked about Murray is how physical he can play. Like taking on, we've seen him blitz before. We've seen him he gets one-on-one with running backs. He kind of throws them aside.
He's good in space.
There's some power to his game. And I'm hopeful that if things in the run game, that you got a guy that can flow, can play behind the line of scrimmage, can get to the ball, doesn't get fooled. That's kind of what I'm hoping with him, Sanborn, and Leofau, that those guys all play with some good instinct and are able to fill when they need to fill, and not let what should be 3 4-yard runs turn into 6, 7, 8-yard runs like we saw last year.
All right, next headline here. Jalen Tolbert on the George Pickens trade. He said he loved it. He was at the facility. He's known GP for a while. And that's cool. But I wanted to ask you guys about Tolbert. Quietly kind of became a decent receiver last year. 49 catches, 610 yards, 7 touchdowns. Can he do that as wide receiver 3 still? If he could, that would be something. What do you expect from Tolbert here?
I mean, I think that he is a wide receiver 3 at best.
But that's his right role now.
Yeah, I don't.
Now he's.
My man Bleeding Blue, what up? He said, do you ever sleep, my brother? Yeah, sometimes. I just got to the JLB for the first thing I see on my phone. It's the G-Man. He said, nobody like you, bro. Thank you for what you do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I got to do it for the culture, man. I got to do it for the culture. I'm trying to do this. I'm going to do this at least 2 times a week. I would like to get to 3 times. But, boy, it messes with me sometimes. But I love doing it, man. I love doing it. It's fun. I love talking to Cowboys Nation, people like you, Bleeding Blue, and the rest of y'all. Yes, sir. Cowboys After Hours, man. We have to do it, man. We have to do it. Do it for the culture.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he did have a streak of touchdowns to end the year. And that, I think, is what kind of, maybe if you have a positive feeling, I was super disappointed after the Pittsburgh game. It was like, now's your time. You arrived. You finally had your big moment. Can you go ahead now and have your breakout type of year? And he kind of disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many times for me, Tolbert just disappears. He did get a knack for, I think it was the last 4 games, he caught a touchdown. But I'm not Jalen Tolbert just has never developed into the receiver that I thought he could be.
Yeah, but a sufficient wide receiver 3, Brian?
Oh, I tell you what, though, I've gone from the point of like, I think this guy could have been a 2 to like, I feel like there's players that are probably more consistent than him. So no, I'm not going to sit there and hitch my wagon to him.
I think Mingo is who they'd probably like to even surpass him on the depth chart.
I think so too. I think that they gave Tolbert every chance to be this guy.
He had 50 catches and 7 touchdowns. What did Mingo do? He catches 1 out of every 3 balls that's passed to him.
The thing about it is, it's like there's 2 games where he's really, really, really good, and then there's 4 games where he doesn't. If he was, the 50 catches, like I say, where he could have put himself in position for some other ones that he didn't make. I just
they talking about inconsistency.
I've given up trying to make him something he's probably not.
That's the same thing I said about him, inconsistent.
Nation. I mean, you're basically getting wide receiver 2 opportunities, and you produce like a wide receiver 3. So maybe I shouldn't look so positively at his 49 catches. And I trust Brian's.
No, I've wanted this guy to be a 60, 70 catch guy, and there's times where he is very capable of that. I just don't think there's any consistency to his game where it's
Lisa Worley, close your ears.
You can rely on him to make plays for you. He'll make plays, but it's
Lisa Worley, close your ears.
It's week 4. It's week 7. It's week 12. There's nothing to his game where all of a sudden you're just like, wow, okay, well, he's going to make 4 or 5 catches every game, and he just can't do that. I've been waiting for a long time on that. It just hadn't happened.
Okay. But I'm gonna say this about Jalen Tolbert. I'm going to say this. So last year, when you look at his stats, Jalen Tolbert was 49 receptions. All right, hold on. Let me get this off here. I want us to look at his stats real quick. Jalen Tolbert. Let's think about this. I'm going to give Jalen Tolbert the benefit of the doubt. I want to look at something real quick. Jalen Tolbert, 49 receptions, right? So his breakout game was the Pittsburgh Steelers game. 7 receptions. Okay, he had 7 receptions, 10 targets, 87 yards, 12.4 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. His longest was 48. Now, let me show y'all why context matters. Y'all help me out on this. Y'all either tell me where you are on this, but I'm gonna show you where context matters. I understand what people are saying about Jalen Tolbert. And Marcus Rowe is already saying something here. Marcus Rowe, Tolbert and Mingo got to play with Cooper Rush. Yeah. That's a huge part of it. I think that's a huge part of it, Marcus Rowe. We don't even know what Mingo is because of Cooper Rush. Tolbert had 7 touchdowns. How many third options have that? Ryan R. Again, I'm telling us. And I want us to think about this. So, the Cowboys, I'm thinking we're 3-2 by the time we play the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? I want y'all to look at who our opponents were next. I don't think there was anything we could do against Detroit. We got to understand, some of this is Mike McCarthy's play calling and play concepts. Troy Aikman comes out around this week. I think it was that week of the Detroit game or after the Detroit game. Troy Aikman straight up condemned Mike McCarthy's route concepts. Was talking about the lack of separation, route concepts, CeeDee Lamb not fighting through coverages and things of that nature. And Tom Brady in the Detroit game said, there's no way. Tom Brady said this. Dak can do nothing with this. He said they can't run the ball. They can't stop the run. They only have one wide receiver. Tom Brady said they can't do anything with this. So I want us to think about this. You played Detroit, who was molly-whopping everybody. Jalen Tolbert, still 4 catches in that game. He had 5 targets, so that means he caught 80% of his targets, 43 yards, 10.8. His longest was 26. He came back against the 49ers. He was 3 for 3, 44 yards. His longest was 28. He came back against the Falcons. Then in this game, he was 3 of 6, 19. That was a bad game for him, but he still had 1 touchdown. But understand, Dak Prescott goes down in this game. So, from November the 10th to January the 5th of 2025, Jalen Tolbert played with Cooper Rush. Jalen Tolbert played with Cooper Rush. And let me do a little bit of math here. Let me see something real quick. All right, so let's see. He had 79. Let's see his receptions up into the Falcon game. So he had 3, 6, 10, 17, 20. So he had 30 receptions, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's 30 receptions from the Falcons game, 3, 6, 10, 17, 20, 23, 29, 30. So I want y'all to think about this. Jalen Tolbert, before Dak Prescott goes down, Jalen Tolbert has 30 receptions. He has 30 receptions. Do we realize that Jalen Tolbert only got 19 receptions after Dak Prescott went down? This dude got 19 receptions after Dak Prescott went down. Let me see here. So he had 19 receptions after Dak, right? So targets, let's see. So he had 6, 3, 14, 24, 27, 32, 41, 43. So he had 43 targets. And of those 43 targets, so he had 79. So this dude, after Dak, he has 19 receptions and 27 targets. Now, some of this we could say is he wasn't getting separation. But if you go back and look at Pro Football Focus, Jalen Tolbert actually was getting separation. And his separation actually wasn't terrible. It was 2.3. His separation was better than Amari Cooper's last year. Yeah, Jalen Tolbert. But if you think about some of his woes, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at some of his woes, and maybe this is off, it says 79 targets. Make sure here. If you look at some of his woes, let me do the math on this again. So, yeah, he had 6, 9, 14, 24. Okay, I might have missed that. 24, 27, 32, 41, 43. 43 targets up until that game with Dak Prescott. And I think this bottom total, it seems to be off or something because these numbers at the top ain't adding up. According to, it says it has 79 targets. Okay, it's 43. Okay. Oh, I know what it is. My math is off. There it is because I'm doing this by hand. Y'all forgive me. All right. So, he had 43 targets with Dak Prescott. 36 targets after Dak Prescott. And let's think about some of these targets. Some of these throws by Cooper Rush were horrendous. Go back and look at the Mingo throws. I mean, this dude was skipping the ball, throwing it behind him, throwing it over him. I mean, it was crazy. What do we think he's doing with Tolbert? Some of this can be attributed, and I'm not trying to make excuses for Tolbert. Some of his lack of success. The same thing can be said for Ferguson. Some of his lack of success, some of Ferguson's lack of success. The reason why we don't know what Mingo is, for as adequate, and I'm going to use adequate, for as adequate as Cooper Rush was, Troy Aikman said it, he couldn't throw the ball past 10 yards. Couldn't throw the ball past 10 yards. So if he can't throw the ball past 10 yards, and if you're a receiver that goes past 10 yards, what do you think that means for you? So we think about this in the grand scheme of things. Some of this could probably, and I'm not even going to say probably, some of Tolbert's lack of success and lack of a step was not just of a lack of performance. It was also Mike McCarthy's scheme. Terrible. That West Coast does not fit everybody. Mike McCarthy's scheme. Lack of a running game. That hurt them too. It's been hurting them. Cooper Rush being the quarterback. Those things matter. I mean, those things matter. I find it to be strange in the last game with Cooper Rush. Look at what he did. He had 6 targets, 4 receptions. He had 24.5 yards per reception. He had 98 yards. His longest was 32. That's Trey Lance. Trey Lance, the one thing Trey Lance could do, he could throw the ball further. He could throw the ball further than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush, the first read was typically always CeeDee Lamb. That's how they designed it. And so I just wonder, with a different offensive scheme, a running game, Dak Prescott healthy the whole season. If we think about the fact that he had 43 targets, and if Dak stays healthy, he probably gets somewhere around 90 targets. I got a strange feeling he's going to have more receptions. Not only is he going to have more receptions, I got a strange feeling he's going to have more touchdowns. He might have about 2 to 3 more touchdowns on that season. I think that he's better with Dak Prescott. I think he would have got better during the season with Dak Prescott, even as he was trying to get comfortable in that number 2 role. I mean, context matters. It really does. I mean, even and especially with Jalen Tolbert, context matters. I think it does. And again, I'm going to go back to my original premise I was talking about a couple of days ago. So let's think about this. Now that you have Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, would you take 49 receptions, 610 yards, 7 touchdowns, and a 12.4 yard average? I'm sorry. If he gets that as a third wide receiver, that is insane. That is insane productivity. That is insane productivity. And as much as people want to see Mingo get his shot, and I want Mingo to get his shot too, because I think it'll only make Jalen Tolbert better. Because if he gets his shot, but he doesn't beat out Jalen Tolbert, that means that Jalen Tolbert got better. And that's actually what we want. We actually want Jalen Tolbert to get better. And as much as Brian Broaddus is saying, yeah, man, he done had his shot. Well, you don't think like the Cowboys. I can tell Brian Broaddus up front, he's not thinking like the Cowboys. The Cowboys drafted Jalen Tolbert. They drafted him, and they like him. They drafted him. They like him. Dak Prescott likes Jalen Tolbert. He likes him. They got a connection. I think he'll be even that much better with Dak Prescott this year. So, the Jalen Tolbert thing, man, I really want to see what Jalen Tolbert looks like this year in training camp. I want to see him succeed. Because if he succeeds, that's telling us something. He took another step. And that's really, that's one of the things you want from your players. You want them to take another step. And maybe it took him a little bit longer. Maybe, I think there was some extenuating circumstances, especially when you're talking about Cooper Rush becoming your quarterback in a year that you're trying to have a breakout season and Cooper Rush is your quarterback. Ferguson even. You're trying to have a breakout season. You're already battling injuries, and then Cooper Rush is your quarterback. Yeah, man. I'm like, hold on a second. Let's get this dude. Maybe we'll give him a little bit more time. And even if we don't give him more time, the Cowboys are going to give him more time. Pure Gaming, he said, Mingo or Tolbert, doesn't matter. Whoever looks better starts in my eyes. Yeah. And I got a strange feeling. Pure Gaming, we've seen this over and over and over. Everybody looks at these body types and all this stuff, and they're thinking one thing or another. And, man, lo and behold, the person who you thought was bigger is not always better. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Bleeding Blue. He said, we love the new culture. Love you also. Appreciate you, Bleeding Blue. Love you too, man. Appreciate you. Bobby Murphy. Boy, I hope you subscribe, boy. We're going to have some stuff for you when we play the Philadelphia Eagles. He said, you're good. You're very good at what you do, sir. Much respect. Bobby Murphy, boy. Welcome to the channel. Boy, we're going to have some fun when we play y'all in that first game. Boy, I hope you're on the channel. We're going to have some fun. A lot of us are predicting we're going to beat you, Bobby Murphy, in the first game. And I say even if we lose to y'all, we don't lose. I say even if we don't lose because it's going to show us where we are. So we are going to be hyped up for that game on that Thursday night. We're going to be ready. We're going to be absolutely ready for sure. But it's going to be a great game. All right. Man. Lipke. Yes, sir. Ghostface, I agree with you. We need to get Lipke involved more, too. He's the best fullback we've had since Moose Johnston. He's got big play potential. Yeah, it's kind of like a hybrid between a fullback and a tight end. Definitely big play. I looked at some of his college tape last year, and, man, he's got big play potential. Ghostface McCarthy, he said the G clock, if he tells you it's 2:30, he really means... He really means 3:30 at it out at whatever time he gives you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm out on this now though. C-Base, he said the ghost. He said I was just thinking, didn't he say 2:30? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, man, I love hanging out with Cowboys Nation. TJ Combo, he said, yeah, let me in on this. Milton is a big upgrade at Cooper's spot. Yeah, I think he is an upgrade at Cooper Rush's spot. I do think he is. And I will, yeah. And again, I like Joe Milton III. I think he's a great pickup for the Cowboys. But again, as much as I like Joe Milton III, if everything goes according to plans, we're not going to see Joe Milton III past preseasons. Because I want Dak Prescott to stay healthy, because we're better with Dak Prescott being healthy. We really are. Ryan says, when you really put things in context, Tolbert had a great year considering he had a guy who has a limited thrower in Cooper Rush. Hey, Ryan, for real. I mean, man, sometimes context matters. And, man, sometimes people be throwing players away and we don't want to look at the circumstances. But, shoot, man. I mean, what do you expect this man going to have with Cooper Rush? Cooper Rush, man, he was very limited as far as his throwing goes. Troy was talking about it. Sean said Tolbert can get $10 to play in Dad's backyard. Mingo needs a shot here. Let me tell you something, Sean. He going to get it. But when he get that shot, he better take it. He better take full advantage of it. He better take full advantage of it. That goes to Mike McCarthy. Yes, sir. He said, great show again. Be fun. Been fun. Be safe, everybody. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Appreciate that super chat. All right, let me work my way down. Yeah, Ghostface, I agree. No way Milton is a downgrade. No, he's an upgrade. I believe he's an upgrade from Cooper. No way Milton is a downgrade to Rush. Cooper is making $13 million. How much is Milton making? Oh, okay. You're saying that Milton, you're saying that he is not an upgrade from Cooper Rush. Okay, I got you. Okay. Well, I tell you what. Baltimore signed him. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But hey, Ghostface, man, I appreciate all your comments tonight, man. Appreciate your interaction. But I tell you this. I hope we don't see Joe Milton at all. Nothing against Joe Milton. He's a backup. I don't want to see him. I want him to be the backup. Backup, just like the Baltimore Ravens. They paid Cooper Rush to not see Cooper Rush. That's what they paid him for. They paid not to see him. It's just like having life insurance. You hope you don't have to use it anytime soon. So, again, hey, I don't want to see Joe Milton III. I like Joe Milton. Don't want to see him. Daniel M. said that Ramsey tweet was wild, G. Okay, I'm about to check it out. Send me the link to it, and I'll check it out, and I'll bring it up tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Or I should say today's show. TJ Combo said, we just talking backups, but Dak is a ride or die with a healthy run game. Yeah, Dak plays all in the season and beyond. I was sick of us being passed mainly with a non-existent run game. We are back to the run game. Yes. Ghostface said, Rush is a big loss, but I'm with you. We need Dak healthy and balling out. Hey, I tell you what, Ghostface, Dak said he was a loss too. Man, Dak liked him some Cooper Rush. Dak wasn't listening to all that crazy talk from people. Dak liked Cooper Rush. He really did. C-Bay said, gee, I want a Milton only in the preseason. That's me too. To find out what Jones saw in him as our new backup. All I want to see is his backup. That's it. I want Dak to have a great next 4 years. I really do. Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate you. I'm going to let Oak Cliff Rockefeller have the last word. Oak Cliff Rockefeller, I appreciate you. He said, great work, G. And I'm going to leave on that. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Peace.